40%. Chapter 241. Of these two people, Lin Haoyang was most satisfied with Lin Juwu. Originally, he planned to give up Lu Jintao, but he didn't expect that Lu Jintao would finally agree to his terms. It is undoubtedly more difficult for Lu Jintao to build an 800 jin épée than to double the weight of the General Lin Ju's épée. If Lu Jintao can build it out, he will undoubtedly have to do more hard work. With such a temperament, he can barely meet his requirements. He wanted to recruit disciples, but he didn't rely on the support of his family to come to him to show off. After giving them a new round of tests, Lin Haoyang began to smelt and purify 3rd and 4th order metals. Especially for 4th order brass, the content of this mine is not too high. 1 caddy of chalcopyrite can probably extract half a tael of brass. Only purified brass can be directly used in magical item. However, hundreds of kilograms of chalcopyrite are mined every day, and at the same time, there are 2 more massive 3rd order minerals waiting for him to refine. Every day, Lin Haoyang spends 5 hours refining these kinds of minerals, and does not have much time to pay attention to the progress of Lin Juwu and Lu Jintao. Since Lu Jintao was cruel, he sent his father back to Chenjiangya. He had to complete the 800 jin heavy sword alone. As for the 2nd order lapis lazuli used to build the 800 jin épée, he credited the manager with a total of 1,600 jin of lapis lazuli ore. As a refiner of lapis lazuli, you can get 300 kilograms of lapis lazuli every year. This 1,600 kilograms of lapis lazuli is Lu Jintao's 5-year hard work, which is enough to see that Lu Jintao has also lost his blood. On the other side, Lin Juwu waited for his salary this month, borrowed 30 spirit stones from his friends, and collected 40 spirit stones in total, and rented a tier 3 earth fire room to smelt and purify his hands. His épée has no edge. These 40 spirit stones almost completely cleaned out Lin Juwu's fortune, and renting a tier 3 refiner was also the best way he could think of. Although Lin Haoyang didn't go to watch it in person, under his powerful divine sense, the movements of the two of them couldn't hide from Lin Haoyang's eyes. Lin Haoyang is not disgusted with the two people's credit and the borrowing of spirit stones. After all, you need to pay it back yourself. However, Lin Haoyang already had the answer in his mind as to whether the two of them could complete the task. If this test was really completed so well, Lin Haoyang would not have raised it. Lin Juwu wants to purify Yuan N's épée Wufeng that he has purified to the original level. Unless he breaks through the 2nd order high-grade refiner, will he have a chance? As for Lu Jintao, if she wants to smelt the lapis lazuli of the 2nd-tier middle-grade material, and smelt it into an épée of 800 jin, she also needs her to break through the 2nd-tier top grade, otherwise he will only be an iron knot. 2 months later, Lin Haoyang summoned the two again, wanting to see how far the two of them had achieved. But this time, there was no excitement on their faces, and their faces were full of sorrow. "What's the matter? Haven't you completed the task? Take out everything in your hand for me to see," Lin Haoyang said. A wry smile appeared on their faces, and said, "We failed to complete the task." Seeing that the two were very honest, Lin Haoyang nodded and said, "I knew you two would not be able to complete this task, okay. Don't hide it, take out the things you refined and let me see." Upon hearing this, the two of them showed shame on their faces, slapped their storage bags, and took out the magical item they had refined. I saw that Wufeng in Lin Juwu's hand was already a circle smaller than before, and the length was only about 1.2 meters, but its weight is probably still about 230 or 40 caddies, which is not far from Lin Haoyang's requirements. Phew. The 800 jin épée made by Lu Jintao weighed 800 jin, but its shape was really unsatisfactory. It was a flying sword, it was just a big iron rod. The 800 jin magical item is too heavy for Lu Jintao, and after taking it out of the storage bag, he can barely put it on the ground. Seeing this, Lin Haoyang showed a sure-footed expression, stretched out his hand to take a photo, and took Lu Jintao's big iron rod into his hand. After weighing it, it really weighs 800 kilograms. However, in terms of Lin Haoyang's strength, the strength of these 800 jins was a little too insignificant. Suddenly, Lin Haoyang's eyes condensed, and a flame suddenly appeared in Lin Haoyang's hands. The flames wrapped around Lin Haoyang's hands until the entire iron rod was wrapped. As the flames entangled, the lapis lazuli épée, which was originally just an iron rod, gradually turned into the épée shape in Lin Haoyang's hands. At the same time, some of the lapis lazuli's impurities were gradually receding. After a stick of incense, an épée was completely formed in Lin Haoyang's hands. Lin Haoyang immediately removed the flame, and the épée was also exposed to the two of them. The entire épée was blue, and there were many flame patterns on the sword, which should have been left by Lin Haoyang when he held it in his hand for refining. At the same time, the épée was much smaller than its original size. It was about the same size as Wufang before retraining, but its weight was about 600 catties. It's not that Lin Haoyang couldn't smelt it to be smaller and lighter, but that it was made of lapis lazuli. This volume and weight were the most suitable. Afterwards, Lin Haoyang lightly tossed the épée directly back to Lu Jintao's side. Looking at the completely changed lapis lazuli épée beside him, Lu Jintao had mixed feelings in his heart. If he could not follow Lin Haoyang as his teacher, it would be a regret for his life. Well, I proposed this postgraduate entrance examination to see whether you two are diligent. If you are a disciple, you can do everything, and I have to do what the teacher does. Lin Haoyang said. Lin Juwu was overjoyed when he heard this. Lin Haoyang meant that he was willing to accept him as his disciples, and he knelt down immediately, for fear that Lin Haoyang would regret it. On the side, Lu Jintao hadn't reacted yet, but seeing Lin Juwu knelt down and kowtow to Lin Haoyang, he understood in an instant. He also kowtow 3 heads as a gift of apprenticeship. Lin Haoyang didn't hide, and completely accepted the ceremony of the two. Afterwards, Lin Haoyang retrained the épée in Lin Juwu's hand, and at the same time helped him add some materials to make it ascension. Its quality also reached 490 jin. For Lin Juwu, Lin Haoyang must be cultivated as a body cultivator. Since Lin Juwu has embarked on the path of épée, Lin Haoyang will also give him enough pressure. Because the edgeless épée has been purified by Lin Haoyang, its quality is no longer inferior to the second-order middle-grade magical item, so Lin Haoyang requested that it be used before the Lin Juwu Foundation building. As long as Lin Juwu's cultivation base ascension is on the first level, he will add 200 catties to the weight of épée Wufeng until he breaks through the foundation building and Wufeng's quality cannot keep up with his cultivation speed. For Lu Jintao, Lin Haoyang also wanted him to cultivate his body, but he was not as strict as Lin Juwu. The task Lin Haoyang gave him was to first be able to control the lapis lazuli épée in his hand and to ascension to the second-tier top grade. After all, Lin Haoyang himself is a dual cultivation of the Dharma body, and the disciples he collects naturally require the dual cultivation of the Dharma body. Because of Lin Juwu's poor aptitude, he can only be a simple body cultivator for the time being. And because Lu Jintao cultivation base is older, so Lu Jintao is the senior brother, and Lin Juwu is the junior. Soon, Lin Haoyang spread the news of the two as disciples throughout the 4 alliances. It can be said that because of becoming Lin Haoyang's disciples, the status of the two in their respective homes will rise. This is the advantage of having a good master, the status of the two will follow ascending. Although the two were brought under the sect, Lin Haoyang couldn't guide the cultivation of the two every day. Every 10 days, he would give instructions to the two and solve the problems in the cultivation of the two at the same time. 40%. Chapter 242 Saihashanfang City. Time flies. Half a year has passed. In the past half a year, with Lin Haoyang's training, the two have made rapid progress. Lu Jintao successfully controlled the épée that weighed 600 jin. Although it was still not at the point where he wanted to, he was already able to exert 80% of the power of the épée. With the épée, Lu Jintao's strength has been directly increased by about 30%. Some of his peers who were stronger than him in the past can only be supported under his épée. In the past 6 months, in addition to mastering the épée, Lu Jintao's cultivation base has also reached the 5th level of vein condensing under the guidance of Lin Haoyang. The most improved is his refining technique, which has now reached the 2nd level. Top grade. He had already begun to help Lin Haoyang refine some 3rd-tier low-grade minerals, which made Lin Haoyang a lot easier. Lin Juwu cultivation base didn't have much ascension, but in terms of strength, he already had a huge ascension. Today's Wufeng épée has been trained to 640 jin by Lin Juwu, which has surpassed Lu Jintao's Cyan épée. In the past 6 months, apart from the discovery of a 3rd-tier middle-grade and 2 2nd-tier low-grade minerals in Wangling, nothing major happened. Not far from the end of 1,000 feet away, the old saber-toothed tiger's nest has already begun to be stationed by inland rogue cultivators, and rogue cultivators have begun to build a mortal cave on it. The news reached Lin Haoyang and Lin Haoyang was immediately happy. These rogue cultivators began to migrate to the wild border. This shows that sect in the inland is also ready to march into the wild, and a large number of rogue cultivators will start to come to the wild border. Someone will have a business, there will be a business, and the 4 coalition forces will have spirit stones to make money. Otherwise, who will sell these ores, the magical items and charms refined by demonic beasts. Rogue cultivators are not like families and sects. They do not have such huge resources and cohesion. Even if rogue cultivators start to settle in the saber-toothed tiger's lair, no one will build a mountain protection formation. This group of rogue cultivators will choose to settle in the saber-toothed tiger's lair. First, because where is an unowned fourth-order spiritual vein, they can build a mortal cave at will. Secondly, the saber-toothed tiger's lair is very close to the 4 coalition forces, and they can go to the 4. The coalition forces purchased resources. Rogue cultivators go deep into the wilderness, but want to try their luck in the depths of the wilderness and come here to find opportunities. When rogue cultivators moved in, the proprietors of the 4 coalition forces decided to open up a market on Saihei Mountain. First, they could sell the resources of the 4 companies. Second, they could acquire the resources in the hands of these rogue cultivators. Although they might lose some spirit stones, the casualties of the 4 cultivators have been reduced. This is the situation that all 4 cultivators have seen. And to build a market, there must be enough power to stabilize the market, otherwise these rogue cultivators will think that the 4 cultivators are good bullies, and these rogue cultivators will not be honest in the future. Because Chen Zhongya and Raihu both have Tier 4 formations, everyone discussed and asked Bai Zonkang to guard the minerals in the Barren Hills, while Lin Haoyang and Lin Ganlong went to Saiheshan to open up a market. The two are not only golden core cultivators, but Lin Haoyang is also a Tier 4 middle-grade crafter. Lin Qianlong is a Tier 4 lower-grade magician. At the same time, Lin Xuanjia is also a Tier 4 lower-grade formation master. 3 people sitting in Saihei Mountain can attract more cultivators. At the same time, the Bai family eliminated a 3rd-tier middle-rank pill refining master, the Liu family dispatched a 3rd-tier middle-rank refiner, and the Ma family dispatched a 3rd-tier high-rank pill refining master and a 3rd-tier low-rank pill refining master. The spiritual planter. At the same time, 5 foundation building cultivators and 50 coagulation cultivators were dispatched, a total of 62 people. Among the 50 condensed veins sent out, there were also people with means. Those sent by the Lin family were all from the Shengjiatang, and both Chu Mengyao and Lin Xuanjing were among them. People from other families are sent by people in charge of trade. Only with these people can they be able to do well among this group of rogue cultivators. Soon, Lin Haoyang and others arrived at Saihei Mountain. When Lin Haoyang and others arrived at Saihei Mountain, they found that there were already a lot of cultivators here. About a dozen people came from the foundation building cultivator, and more than 100 people came from Ningmei and Shantian cultivator. Since Saihei Mountain is a land of no owner, if you want to open a mortal cave on Saihei Mountain and occupy the place with the strongest spirit power, it depends on your own means. The stronger the person, the stronger the immortal cave will be. Every day, there are many fights on Saihei Mountain. When Lin Haoyang and others came, these people were still very fascinated to let out the strongest spirit power. After all, the 2 golden core cultivators were sufficiently powerful in deterrence. Later, the 4 cultivators announced to take over Saihei Mountain. At first, there were people who wanted to resist, but after Lin Haoyang and Lin Qianlong personally solved the 2 foundation building groups, this group of people calmed down. With 4 cultivators taking charge of the overall situation of Saihei Mountain, the development of Saihei Mountain has gradually entered the right track. With the resources provided by the 4 cultivators, they can stay here for a long time. Because Saiheshan was taken over, Saiheshanfang City has also become a territory that is not allowed to be hands-on. Many low-level cultivators are also willing to be sheltered by the 4 cultivators. Soon, Saiheshanfang City gradually spread out among rogue cultivators, and more cultivators are also willing to settle in Saiheshan. Although there are such groups of rogue cultivators in the Qingyunzong and Chongshan Tower, none of the 4 cultivators attaches so much importance to the spirit stones earned from rogue cultivators. Although there is some concern, the golden core cultivator is sent to guard at most, but the 4 coalition forces will not directly operate it as a market. As the number of rogue cultivators going deep into the wild increases, and the cultivation base of rogue cultivators gets higher and higher, the more Saiheshanfang City can attract them. There is no way, only here, they can find the 4th order refining master, the 4th order spiritual talisman, and most importantly, even the 4th order spiritual talisman can be found here. Finally, after a year of development, Saiheshanfang City has already accommodated 4 golden core rogue cultivators, and the scale of the foundation building cultivator has reached 50 people. Ningmei and Shantian rogue cultivators have reached thousands of people. Every year, the 4 coalition forces can earn tens of thousands of spirit stones in Saiheshan. Such profits are difficult to control by the 4 coalition forces alone, and it attracts the prying eyes of greedy people. The 4 Golden Core Cultivator Rogue Cultivators in Sai Hessian, 1 Golden Core Middle Stage, and 3 Golden Core Early Stage, are very jealous of the income of the 4 coalition forces. Once, 4 Golden Core Rogue Cultivators challenged Lin Haoyang and others. The Golden Core Middle Stage Cultivator blocked Lin Qianlong, and the other 3 teamed up to attack Lin Haoyang. The Golden Core Cultivator will not be able to sit still. Lin Haoyang and others have already known that after all, such a large interest is in front of them, and they are a group of desperados who see money and see rogue cultivators, and they will definitely make trouble. Facing the siege of the 3 Golden Core Cultivators, Lin Haoyang did not dare, although after more than 2 years of cultivation, Lin Haoyang's cultivation base is still on the first floor of the Golden Core. But the total amount of his spirit power even surpasses the Golden Core 3-tier cultivator, and among the 3 Golden Cores besieging Lin Haoyang, the strongest cultivation base is only the Golden Core 3-tier. Because of premeditated, so they didn't do anything on Sai Mountain. After all, the 4 coalition forces were affiliated to the Azure Cloud sect, so they killed Lin Haoyang in front of everyone. I'm afraid they would provoke the Azure Cloud sect's revenge. Therefore, the time they chose was the best time for Lin Haoyang to regret Chen Zhongya's delivery of supplies. Seeing 3 Golden Core Rogue Cultivators rushing towards him murderously, a smile appeared on Lin Haoyang's face and said, "Could it be that with the 3 of you, do you really think it will kill me?" 41%. Chapter 243 Mysterious Liquid. Opposite the 3 Golden Core Early Stage, 2 men and 1 woman, one of the 2 men had a broken arm, and only the left arm was left. The other male cultivator was obese, and seemed to be a greedy for pleasure. As for the woman, although she has a good figure, she has a rather ordinary appearance. When Lin Haoyang said this, the woman had a tuft of eyebrows, and she had obviously heard of Lin Haoyang's fame. Dare to intercept Lin Haoyang, it is natural to investigate Lin Haoyang's methods clearly. Lin Haoyang can fight the Golden Core Cultivator in the Foundation Building realm. Now that the cultivation base has reached the Golden Core, no one knows where his strength is. That's why 3 Golden Core Cultivators joined forces. None of them is sure to beat Lin Haoyang, but when the 3 of them work together, the situation is different. Lin, fellow Taoist, you don't have to be arrogant here. Lin Qianlong is just hard to protect himself. To blame, the 4 coalition forces of you are too greedy, and want to swallow such fat. If you are willing to give out 60% of the benefits and give up Sai Mountain, we might consider letting you go. The man with the broken arm said. Ha ha ha, what nonsense. Do you think that if I leave here alive today, do you still have a chance to live? In addition, who gave you your trust? Can you be my opponent with the 3 of you? Quote. Having said that, Lin Haoyang was no longer wordy. With a golden core aura, outrageously, the poisonous tent and the long yuan sword flew out of Lin Haoyang's storage bag one after another. Suddenly, a large purple thick fog covered the 5-mile boundary, and the 3 golden cores on the opposite side were all shrouded in it. The Dragon Abyss sword also took the opportunity to pierce into the thick fog and disappeared. But at this moment, a tornado from the location of the 3 golden cores actually blows away the poisonous mist of Lin Haoyang's poisonous tent. When I arrived at Golden Core Realm, the power of the poisonous tent was much weaker, and 3 Golden Core cultivators came prepared, and soon broke the poisonous mist of the poisonous tent. A smile appeared on the obese man's face, and he held a feather fan in his hand. It was obvious that the tornado that had blown away the poisonous mist was exactly what the feather fan did. Lin, fellow Taoist, this magical item in your hand is nothing to me. The fat man hadn't finished speaking, a black rush suddenly appeared in front of him, and cut his head straight. Lin Haoyang has rarely used it since he obtained the Liang Quick Sword in Shuyang Mountain. Even if the 3 of them investigated Lin Haoyang, they only thought that Lin Haoyang was the cause of cultivation technique, and the flying sword, which was naturally motivated, reached 3 points faster than others. But now it seems that this is where the 3-pointer is fast, it is 3 times faster. The face of the obese man changed drastically, and the speed of the Long Yuan sword was too fast, and he had no time to sacrifice the magical item for defense. At this moment, a black token suddenly emerged from behind the frisbee man, turning into a copper wall and iron wall, blocking Long Yuan. Seeing this, a smile appeared on Lin Haoyang's face. After years of warming up, he was tempered by the pill fire. The Long Yuan sword has been restored to the 4th tier mid-level, and its sharpness is no less than the 4th tier top-level magical item. You know, the Dragon Abyss sword was originally a tier 5 magical item, but it was a long time of silence and it was damaged. Puff. Under the sword of Long Yuanjian, it directly pierced the copper wall and iron wall sacrificed by the man with the broken arm. However, this is a tier 4 magical item. After Long Yuanjian pierced it, it would be difficult to enter. Lin Haoyang felt a little pity, and could only mobilize Long Yuan back to defense. Lin Haoyang's face was light and windy, but the 3 golden cores had cold sweats on their faces. They knew that Lin Haoyang was a tier 4 middle grade refiner, and guessed that Lin Haoyang must also have a tier 4 middle grade magical item. However, during their investigation, this black flying sword was only a tier 4 inferior item. How can I see it today? I am afraid that its power is not as powerful as the tier 4 magical item. Otherwise, the 4th order inferior defense magical item of the man with the broken arm cannot be penetrated at once, and what is going on with the terrifying speed of flying sword? The man with the broken arm was angry in his heart. He couldn't figure out why after a cultivator golden core became so terrifying. 2. Don't tuck them in hiding. If one can't be dealt with, we may die here. It's us, said the man with broken arms. After speaking, the man with the broken arm slapped his storage bag, and a white flying sword appeared in his hand. Seeing this flying sword, Lin Haoyang felt a chill in his heart, and guessed that the flying sword has reached the 4th level. Mid-range. No wonder, although the man with a broken arm lacked an arm, the obese man in the female golden core looked like he was the mainstay. The female golden core slapped her storage bag, and a red long whip was taken out by it. There were still many barbs hanging on the long whip. If she was drawn, she would be stripped of a lot of flesh and blood. In addition to the cyan feather fan that the obese man took out before, he took out a white jade net bottle, the mouth of the bottle came out, and the cold air kept coming out. Lin Haoyang didn't dare to be careless when he saw this. The Dragon Abyss sword surrounded him, his left hand showed a mysterious tortoise shield in front of him, and his right hand showed a deep blue pupil, ready to deliver a fatal blow. The man with the broken arm suddenly urged the flying sword in his hand, and the white flying sword immediately went straight to Lin Haoyang. Seeing the man with the broken arm took action, the other 2 golden cores also began to use their magical powers. The female golden core flicked the long whip in her hand, and the whip immediately turned into a barbed poisonous snake, strangling it towards Lin Haoyang. The fat man moved the slowest in his hand, and saw a drop of liquid flying out of the white jade net bottle, and instantly the fat man was covered with frost. Where the drop of liquid was, there was frost everywhere in an instant. I don't know what the drop of liquid was, but it was definitely not a simple thing. The obese man seemed to be struggling to move. When the drop of liquid appeared in Lin Haoyang, there was a hint of jealousy in his heart. If the drop of liquid was allowed to fly out, it would be difficult for him to resist, and the mysterious tortoise shield armor in his hand might not be able to stop it. Lin Haoyang didn't hesitate anymore, and the soul-setting technique was launched to directly hit the fat man's eyebrows. But at this moment, a jade card flashed on the fat man's chest, and as the soul fixation technique fell on it, the jade card also emitted a faint halo, stopping Lin Haoyang's divine sense attack. The obese man was overjoyed. He knew that Lin Haoyang had a mysterious divine sense attack technique. In order to deal with Lin Haoyang, 4 rogue cultivators pooled money to buy this 4th order low-grade divine sense defense magical item. This jade card can withstand 3 4th tier lower grade psychic attacks, and they took great pains to deal with Lin Haoyang. Crack, click, the sound of 2 successive jade tiles broke, causing the fat man's complexion to change drastically. This divine sense type of defense suffered a blow from Lin Haoyang, and there were 2 cracks unexpectedly. This means that Lin Haoyang's this strike divine soul attack directly consumed the 2 powers of this jade card, and then Lin Haoyang's divine soul attack was blocked. The man with the broken arm and the female golden core looked frantically when they saw this. If Lin Haoyang's this strike fell on them, they would not have a jade card to defend. The 2 inevitably became more careful, and even leaned against the obese man. At this time, Long Yuan and the white flying sword were entangled together. What surprised Lin Haoyang was that the Long Yuan sword could only have the upper hand. The female golden core's long whip was blocked by the mysterious tortoise shield, but Lin Haoyang didn't pay attention to the attacks of these 2 people. What frightened him was the liquid in the hands of the fat man. Seeing that the soul fixation technique did not work, Lin Haoyang no longer hesitated, urging the deep blue eyes in his hands, and a deep blue light shot straight at the drop of liquid in front of the obese man. 41%. Chapter 244. The speed of this light was extremely fast, even surpassing the speed of the Dragon Abyss sword just now. At this moment, the obese man was pushing the jade bottle in his hand with all his strength, unable to distract himself from dealing with the blue light. Just now, with a blow from the Longyuan sword, it has penetrated the magical item of the man with the broken arm. This blue light does not know the rank, but it can be taken out by Lin Haoyang at this moment, and its power is definitely not weak. If he sacrificed his copper wall and iron wall at this moment, I am afraid that this strike would not be able to stop. Seeing this, the female cultivator had to pat the storage bag, and a scroll flew out. This is the battle product he used to intercept and kill a golden core early stage cultivator. Although it looks like a landscape painting, he hides the universe and will directly suck the attack into the painting. If the attack power is not enough to directly destroy the mountains and rivers in the painting, the attack will also be directly absorbed by this picture scroll. Its defense power is already comparable to some tier 4 mid-level defense magical item. As soon as the picture scroll was sacrificed by the female cultivator, the blue light had already been shot, falling in the middle of the mountains and rivers in the picture. But the picture scroll only blocked the blue light for a moment, and directly penetrated the picture scroll. No way, the rule of this picture scroll is to destroy the mountains and rivers in the picture, but the deep blue eye is different from other attacks. In addition to being extremely corrosive, he is a single attack, and its power will not spread. So in that landscape painting, although the mountains and rivers are boofin, the blue light passes through as soon as it passes, and the landscape painting directly penetrates a hole. Then, the blue light went straight to the mysterious liquid in the hand of the obese man. The landscape painting was penetrated in an instant, and the female cultivator was already terrified to the extreme. Lin Haoyang's methods were too amazing. This is like what a breakthrough golden core cultivator can have. Not only the female cultivator, but the man with the broken arm was also terrified. He didn't expect Lin Haoyang to be so difficult. At this time, the blue light from the deep blue eye shot into the drop of unknown liquid. This drop of liquid was quietly encountered by an obese man in the wild. It had no other effect, only a terrifying chill. Generally, when confronting an enemy, as long as he can't beat it, he will sacrifice this drop of unknown liquid, often winning without fighting. There was even a golden core middle stage cultivator who suffered a loss in his hands. This time, the man with the broken arm specifically sought him out to deal with Lin Haoyang. Unexpectedly, Lin Haoyang would not give him the opportunity to use this drop of liquid. Bump! The blue light hit the unknown liquid, and the drop of liquid exploded in an instant, and the terrifying chill instantly drowned the obese man. At this moment, the cyan feather fan in his hand was doing the fanning motion, but he was always a step slower. The man with a broken arm and the female golden core originally leaned behind the obese man. Seeing the picture scroll released by the female golden core could not block the blue light, the two instantly retreated away from the obese man. It was because they were so decisive that they survived without being affected by the cold air. The fat man was instantly frozen even in the cold, not only his physical body, but also his spirit power. The spirit power was frozen, and the obese man was unable to fly in the air. It turned into an ice sculpture and smashed to the ground. Seeing this, the man with the broken arm wanted to help the obese man. After all, he and the female golden core alone were not sure that he could deal with Lin Haoyang. But at this moment, Lin Haoyang didn't leave his hand at all, so he activated the soul concentration technique again, calling directly at the man with the broken arm. The man with the broken arm didn't have the magical item defense, so he was hit by the soul fixation in an instant. The man with the broken arm only felt that his own brain was torn apart, but his cultivation base was good, and he was not directly beaten into a state of confusion. But it was too late for him to help the obese man, so he could only watch the ice sculpture made by the obese man crash into the ground and then smashed to pieces. At this point, the fat man fell, and apart from starting to blow away the poisonous mist of the poisonous tent, he had never had a chance to take action. It can be said that the death was extremely aggrieved. When the man with a broken arm had a headache, he saw a blue light straight towards him. It turned out that Lin Haoyang urged Deep Blue Eye once again while urging soul concentration. The feature of this magical item is that it doesn't consume Lin Haoyang's spirit power, and it is activated without any scruples at all. But it also has a shortcoming, that is, the attack is too linear, and if there is no soul fixation to cooperate, it is only suitable for sneak attacks. If the opponent is prepared, it will be difficult to hit him. Seeing that he was locked by the blue light, the man with the broken arm felt anxious. He forcibly endured the severe pain from divine sense, and once again sacrificed the copper wall and iron wall. The man with the broken arm still felt unsafe and wanted to take the white long sword back, but it was too late. He gritted his teeth and took out a magic talisman from the storage bag. The man with the broken arm urged the spirit power. The magic talisman instantly melted away and turned into a golden dome, covering the man with the broken arm and the female golden core cultivator in it. Boom. In just an instant, the copper wall and iron wall that the man with the broken arm sacrificed was defeated, and then the blue light of the deep blue eye shot on the light mask made by the magic talisman, but the barrier was not defeated. What the man with the broken arm sacrificed was a tier 4 mid-level defensive charm. Even if it was a golden core cultivator, it would take half an hour to break it. But once the blue light fell on it, ripples were immediately stirred up. As a spellcaster, the man with the broken arm could clearly feel that the light mask formed by this magical talisman lost 1/5 of its power. In other words, if Lin Haoyang comes around again, this shield will collapse. At this moment, the broken arm man and the female golden core in the shield have already raised infinite regrets. It's okay why they have to oppose the Lin family and even intercept and kill them. Without the control of the two, the white flying sword and the red whip had no stamina, and they were defeated by the Longyuan sword. The two magical items also fell into Lin Haoyang's hands. Seeing this, the two of them felt a pain in their hearts. These two magical items seemed to be their housekeepers. Without them, their combat power would have dropped by 30%. After receiving two magical items, Lin Haoyang walked out of the light mask transformed by the magical talisman. Without saying a word, he picked up the dark blue eye and bombarded the light mask again. Boom. The mask became more dimmed, and it was obvious that the deep blue eye had just hit it and consumed another 1/5 of the energy of the mask. Boom. Lin Haoyang did not hesitate, and directly blasted the third shot, landing on the mask, making the mask a little shaky. The man with the broken arm and the female golden core were scared. They really couldn't think of why Lin Haoyang could continue to urge such a terrified magical item, which is too unreasonable. At this moment, Lin Haoyang raised his right hand and made an appearance of attacking again. The man with a severed arm suddenly became anxious and shouted, "Lin, fellow Taoist, why bother? How about letting me live in the same way? I am willing to do things for you for 30 years. When Lin Haoyang heard this, he stopped his hand movements. At this moment, the deep blue eye in his right hand was already very hot at this time, and with the continuous bombardment, the deep blue eye had reached its limit. Raising his hand just now was just a fright. Now that the man with the broken arm speaks, Lin Haoyang's goal has been achieved. Humph. When the three of you just wanted to kill me, you didn't see that you wanted to give me a way out. Lin Haoyang said. The man with a broken arm felt bitter on his face and said, "Before I had no eyes, but I asked Lin, fellow Taoist, to raise my hand and let me wait for a way out. Both of me are willing to serve as Lin, fellow Taoist, for 30 years, and I can make a soul oath. But you don't push me too hard, otherwise, the fish will die and the net will break, and I will also pull you back." At this time, the female golden core was unwilling to say, and at the same time, a tier 4 middle rank talisman appeared in her hand. "Ha ha ha, you two are so deceiving, do you think I don't have a charm?" As he said, Lin Haoyang slapped his storage bag, and a tier 4 top grade charm appeared in his hand. 41%. Chapter 245. This fourth-order high-grade magic talisman was originally given to Lin Qianlong by Qingyunzong for the safety of the spiritual rice trade. During this period, there was no danger enough for Lin Qianlong to use this magic talisman. This time, Lin Haoyang noticed that something was wrong, and was afraid that several golden core robe cultivators would secretly act on him, so before this time, Lin Haoyang asked Lin Qianlong for this charm. Unexpectedly, it is really used now. The broken arm man and the female golden core looked at the tier 4 high-grade magic talisman in their hands, and suddenly felt desperate. It seems that they are not only calculating Lin Haoyang, but Lin Haoyang is also calculating them. The tier 4 middle grade magic talisman in their hands is not their own, but the robe cultivators of the golden core middle stage gave them to them before the three set out, saying that it was just in case. It seems that they still underestimated Lin Haoyang's methods. Lin, fellow Taoist, as long as we let the two of us survive, and the conditions are just mentioned. At this moment, the man with the broken arm completely lost hope in his heart and said with a bloodless expression on his face. The female golden core cultivator on the side was even more horrified. Lin Haoyang's blue light blow directly penetrated her landscape and at the same time penetrated her confidence. He really couldn't figure out why a cultivator who just broke through the golden core had such a terrifying strength. Seeing that the two of them couldn't afford to resist, Lin Haoyang said, "The two of you gave me 100,000 spirit stones to compensate me for this interception. After all, I spent a lot of time in this battle. At the same time, the two of you are required to sign a soul oath and declare allegiance to me for 30 years. After 30 years, you two will naturally return to freedom. This is my condition. If you two don't agree, then you will show your cards and fight to the death." Quote. When the two heard Lin Haoyang's words, their faces became paler, each with 50,000 spirit stones. "I am afraid that even if they were cleaned up, they would not be able to collect these 100,000 spirit stones." Seeing the difficulties of the two, Lin Haoyang said, "If you two don't have 100,000 spirit stones in your body now, you owe them first, and within 5 years, they must all be paid off." Hearing what Lin Haoyang said, the two of them reluctantly agreed. After that, the two signed a soul oath with Lin Haoyang, declaring allegiance to Lin Haoyang for 30 years, and regaining freedom after 30 years. At the same time, the two pieced together to make up a total of 50,000 spirit stones, and there were 50,000 spirit stones, which they had to pay off within 5 years. After signing the soul oath with the two, Long Yuan came to the corpse of the fat cultivator, although the drop of liquid was very strange. But the storage bag on the obese cultivator is still intact, and the contents in it are not damaged. It's just a pity that the feather fan has been completely scrapped in the cold air. When Lin Haoyang checked the broken Yujing bottle, he saw half a drop of unidentified liquid soup in the broken porcelain pieces. It seems that what was defeated by blue light before was only half a drop. This inevitably made Lin Haoyang more curious about what it was. With half a drop of power, a golden core early stage cultivator could be frozen. Lin Haoyang took out a jade bottle, filled the half drop of unknown liquid into the bottle, and directly collected it into the small space in Dantian without observing the two. As for the storage bag of the obese cultivator, he didn't have time to check it, so he just put it away from his waist. With a shot of the storage bag, the magical item of the man with the broken arm and the woman golden core appeared in his hand, and then turned to the duo. "How about these two magical items, counted as 10,000 and 20,000 spirit stones?" The two laughed bitterly and spent money to buy their own magical item, but they felt uncomfortable in their hearts. But the two have no other way. Both of these two magical items have been used for many years, and they are quite smooth. Besides, they can pay on credit anyway, and the two agreed. Seeing this, Lin Haoyang smiled. These two magical items are not very useful for him. It is better to replace them with spirit stones. Lin Haoyang asked, "How are you two called?" "Yang Yuanming," said the man with a broken arm. "Lu Lanji," female golden core said. Lin Haoyang nodded. As for the half drop of unknown liquid, he didn't ask a word. The relationship between rogue cultivators is not good, and the obesity cultivator will definitely not mention it. Afterwards, Lin Haoyang returned to Saiheshan with the two of them. Originally, Lin Qianlong was not the opponent of the golden core middle stage rogue cultivators, so he could barely support it. With the arrival of Lin Haoyang and the three of them, the situation of the battle immediately changed. Under the siege of the four, the rogue cultivators persisted for less than a stick of incense, and they were beheaded by the three. For this person, Lin Haoyang was not merciful, and directly cut off his head and hung it on the city wall of Saiheshanfang City, killing chickens and monkeys. Originally, there were quite a few people in Saiheshanfang City who wanted to deal with the four coalition forces, but the four golden cores did it first. Now 4 golden core rogue cultivators, 2 dead and 2 surrendered. The heads of the golden core middle stage rogue cultivators, the highest in cultivation base, are still hung on the city wall. This makes a group of rogue cultivators with different minds no longer dare to move in an instant. Lin Haoyang not only hung the heads of golden core rogue cultivators on the city wall, but that night, Lin Haoyang led Yang Yuanming and Lu Lanji to kill 4 or 5 foundation building cultivators. This foundation building cultivator, who is the closest person to the golden core middle stage rogue cultivators, has also been uprooted at this moment. Lin Haoyang's decisiveness and fierceness completely frightened this group of rogue cultivators, and no one dared to look at the position of the 4 coalition forces in Saihei Mountain. Later, Lin Haoyang announced that a 4th order defensive formation would be built on Saihei Mountain and a Saihei city would be built on Saihei Mountain to attract more rogue cultivators. In the future, if you want to enter the Saihei Mountain City, you need to purchase a Saihei order. If you hold this token in the Saihei Mountain City, the 4 coalition forces will protect him. In this way, Saiheshanfang City is like Pingyang City, and the 4 coalition forces can better manage Saiheshan. After seeing the strength of Saihashanfang City, the rogue cultivators group gradually recognized the status of the 4 coalition forces. You know, today's 4 coalition forces are equivalent to 5 golden core cultivators. With such strength, even the golden core late-stage cultivator dare not easily provoke them. Coupled with the sufficient resources of Saihei Mountain and the special geographical location of Saihei Mountain, it once again attracted a large number of rogue cultivators. In the past year since the last interception, the number of rogue cultivators on Saihei Mountain has exceeded 2,000, the number of foundation building rogue cultivators has reached about 100, and the number of golden core cultivators has reached about 10. But this time, no rogue cultivators dared to make trouble here. After all, these people came here to go deep into the wilderness and earn spirit stones, and they didn't want to fight with the 4 coalition forces. Because Saiheshan's profit is too great, and because there are not many rogue cultivators stationed in Chongshanlu and Qingyunzong, instead, 2 behemoths sent people to Saiheshan. The Chongshan Tower sent Su Ling'er, and the Azure Cloud sect sent Lin Xuanlin, sending these 2 people, and the 4 coalition forces would let them share a piece of the pie anyway. And with the addition of the 2 behemoths, Saihei Mountain is no longer something rogue cultivators can move, otherwise the anger of Chongshanlu and Qingyunzong is not something they can bear. When Su Ling'er came here, Lin Haoyang happened to return the spirit stones he borrowed before, and at the same time he begged Su Ling'er to buy another 1,000-year ice marrow. This time, Lin Xuanlin brought news that Bai Qingyun's cultivation base has reached the 9-story peak of the foundation building. Before coming, Bai Qingyun had been looking for the whereabouts of 1,000-year ice marrow, but Qingyun sect had no news of this. Bai Qingyun was entangled in pill refining chores and couldn't come to Lin Haoyang personally, so she called Lin Xuanjing to send a message, and Lin Haoyang also helped to find it. 1,000-year ice marrow is very suitable for Bai Qingyun's different spiritual roots. As long as she finds the 1,000-year ice marrow, Bai Qingyun will be 80% sure of the foundation building. But at this moment, Xiao Jinlong's voice came in Lin Haoyang's mind. Are you stupid? You have 10,000 years of ice marrow liquid, and what more 1,000 years of ice marrow? 41%. Chapter 246. Lin Haoyang was immediately stunned. Wanian ice marrow, he had never seen this thing before, where would he have it? Suddenly, Lin Haoyang's eyes were taken aback. Ice marrow, this reminded him of something. When he was facing the siege of 3 golden core cultivators, he obtained half a drop of unknown liquid from an obese cultivator. And that drop of liquid has the ultimate cold attribute, which directly freezes the fat cultivator's body and magic power. It was precisely because of that mistake that Lin Haoyang easily included Yang Yuanming and Lu Lanji, the 2 golden core rogue cultivators, to establish the position of the 4 coalition forces in Saiheshan in one fell swoop, and this is how Saiheshan is now prosperous. Yes, the jade bottle in your dantian contains the essence of 10,000 years of ice marrow. I saw you put it away solemnly at the time. I thought you knew what it was. Xiao Jinlong said again. Lin Haoyang heard Xiao Jinlong's affirmative answer, immediately overjoyed, and asked again. Then Qingyun can use this breakthrough golden core. After all, only half a drop. Bullshit. Can a 1,000-year ice marrow compare to a 10,000-year ice marrow? Although it is only half a drop, the effect is probably not worse than that of 3,000-year ice marrow. If she uses a whole drop of 10,000 years cold marrow, she may not be able to withstand the cold of 10,000 years cold marrow, which will cause breakthrough failure and even damage to her muscles. Moreover, because the quality of Wanian cold marrow is better, it will be more helpful for your daughter-in-law to break through golden core realm. Little Jinlong said. After hearing this, Lin Haoyang probably understood what Xiao Jinlong meant. In other words, the 10,000 years of coldness in his hands can not only help Bai Qingyun golden core, but even because of its better quality, it is more beneficial to Bai Qingyun's breakthrough. Suddenly, a big smile appeared on Lin Haoyang's face. In this way, there were at least 60,000 spirit stones left. I even forgot that there was a Su Ling'er sitting opposite him. Lin, fellow Taoist, are you okay? Su Ling asked tentatively when Lin Haoyang suddenly smiled strangely. After being asked this way, Lin Haoyang came back to his senses and hurriedly explained that the 1,000-year chill was gone. Su Ling'er didn't know what medicine Lin Haoyang sold in his heart, but Lin Haoyang didn't want it at all to prevent her from trouble. Even for her, it would not be easy to find a piece of 1,000-year-old chill. Spiritual objects like this breakthrough golden core are still in demand in Zhongshan Tower. The Chongshan Tower and Qingyunzong moved into Sihacheng, making the market in this city gradually take shape. Attic, Lu, and Jai, plus 3 stores, are the 3 biggest strengths of Sihachang. The pavilion is the Cheniang Pavilion founded by the Lin family. The pavilion is a natural heavy mountain pavilion. The pavilion is the Qingyun Pavilion founded by the Qingyunzong. The other 3 shops are based on their own names. Although they are not as good as Loft Jai, they are still the big players in the quadrangle. It is not a problem to earn a few thousand spirit stones a year. In addition, some rogue cultivators will also open shops in Sihachang. After all, they have gone deep into the wilderness and harvested a lot of good things. Naturally, they hope to sell them and make more money. For the shops opened by these rogue cultivators, the 4 alliances not only did not stop them, but encouraged them. After all, if they wanted to open shops in Sihachang, they wanted to pay rent by the 4 coalition forces every year. In this regard, even Chongshanlu and Qingyunzong are no exceptions. Every year the 4 coalition forces can reap a lot of benefits just by collecting rent. After arranging the forces of Chongshan Tower and Qingyunzong, Lin Haoyang and Lin Xuanlin rushed back to Qingyunzong without stopping. Just got the news, another purple cloud crystal was mined from the purple cloud crystal vein. As soon as this purple cloud crystal came out, it immediately caused a lot of competition among the foundation building cultivators of the Azure Cloud sect. At the same time, the news of Hu Weiwei's closed door training impacting nascent soul was also released at the same time. Among the foundation building cultivator competing for Xianjing this time, there is exactly one of Hu Weiwei's disciple Zhang Lefeng. Originally, in accordance with Zuo Qianji's original promise, the Lin Bai family had the priority to redeem the purple cloud crystals produced in the future, but a disciple of nascent soul cultivator also had the priority to redeem. This person's aptitude is better than Lin Xuanlin. Even if those external forces are removed, Lin Xuanlin can't compete. So this time, Lin Haoyang was going to let Bai Qingyun go to compete with Zhang Lefeng, and they are now rushing back to Qingyunzong to give Bai Qingyun the spirit stones. A purple cloud crystal costs 100,000 spirit stones, and Bai Qingyun alone cannot produce such spirit stones. If Lin Haoyang didn't have the half-drop of 10,000 years chalcedony in his hands, and Bai Qingyun wanted to break through the golden core, the huge number of 160,000 spirit stones would also cause headaches for the 2 families. Although the 4 coalition forces have earned some spirit stones in Saihashanfang City in the past 2 years, they have built immortal caves, shops, defensive formations, personnel input, etc. throughout Saihashan. It seems that the 4 coalition forces have earned a lot of spirit stones, but it will take at least 2 or 3 years for Saihashanfang City to make money for the 4. Lin Haoyang still paid for the purple cloud crystal for Lin Xuanlin this time. In the storage bag of the obese rogue cultivators, Lin Haoyang harvested 30,000 spirit stones and other sundries. Lin Haoyang sold another 10,000 spirit stones. In addition, Yang Yuanming and Lu Lanji have repaid another 10,000 spirit stones over the past year, which made Lin Haoyang prosperous again. With these 50,000 spirit stones, plus Lin Xuanlin and Bai Qingyun's assets in Qingyun sect, he couldn't believe it and couldn't beat that Zhang Lefeng. Although Hu Weiwei's support was behind her, Hu Weiwei had already exhausted his family for this golden core. In addition to the deterrence of nascent soul cultivator, the help she can give is to find the golden core cultivator of Qingyunzong to borrow some spirit stones based on her incense. It was because he knew Zuo Qianji's agreement with Lin Bai's family at the beginning that Hu Weiwei directly closed door training to hit nascent soul when the purple cloud crystal was mined. As long as there is the name nascent soul, neither Lin Bai's family nor Zuo Qianji can say anything. Once you enter nascent soul realm, you are already regarded as the master of the Azure Cloud sect, and some rules can be broken. After all, this world is still respected by strength. If Lin Bai's family had not already had 3 golden core cultivators, I am afraid they would not even have the qualifications to compete. In a hurry, Lin Haoyang directly took out the flying spirit boat and rushed to Qingyun Peak as quickly as possible. That's right, this competition for Xianjing War was arranged in the base camp of Qingyun sect. As long as the Xianjing was obtained, he would directly prepare for the closed-door training of Qingyun sect. At the same time, Hu Weiwei is also in Qingyunzong's closed-door training, which is far away from the wild and safer. Zuo Qianji didn't know where he was in order to guard against leaving the Huo Brahma bull. Hu Weiwei's guardian was Zhou Zunyuan with a Tier 5 magic talisman. Zhou Zunyuan's cultivation base, with the help of a lot of resources, has recently broken through to the 9th level of Golden Core. However, it will take at least 5 years of polishing before the Golden Core completes. Zhou Zunyuan was not in a hurry, and now he already had Tier 5 demonic beasts inner alchemy, which was equivalent to taking a reassurance pill in advance. When Lin Haoyang and the two arrived at Qingyunzong, Xianjing's competition had not yet begun. Naturally, it was Bai Qingyun who persuaded Zhou Zunyuan to wait for Lin Haoyang to come. Zhou Zunyuan and Lin Haoyang have a very good relationship. Face naturally wants to give this point. Although Zhang Lefeng has Hu Weiwei as the master, he can't decide everything. Lin Haoyang and the two rushed over. Bai Qingyun seemed to have taken reassurance pills without much delay. Lin Haoyang and the three immediately went to Zhou Zunyuan and competed with Zhang Lefeng and others for this purple cloud crystal. 41%. Chapter 247. Soon, Zhou Zunyuan convened foundation-building cultivators who wanted to redeem Xianjing. Although there were many foundation-building cultivators that met the requirements, there were only 3 people who came. In addition to Zhang Lefeng, another foundation-building cultivator arrived, the 9-story foundation-building cultivator named Shi Xiao. Shi Xiao is not simple, he is a 4th-order inferior spirit talisman. During this war, Shi Xiao accumulated a large number of spirit stones with the help of huge demonic beasts materials and the refining of star-containing grass. Because of Zhang Lefeng's operation, Shi Xiao was also qualified to compete for the Xianjing this time, which was equivalent to dipping Hu Weiwei's light. Soon, the 3 parties gathered in the discussion hall, and besides Zhou Zunyuan, there were 2 elders, Zhou Juntao and Wang Xiaoyang. The 2 also came to secretly protect Hu Weiwei's closed-door training. Zi Yunjing is of great importance, and Zhou Zunyuan can't be the master alone, so he called the 2 as a witness. The 3 of you have a lot of credit for the Azure Cloud sect, and sect can't favor one another. This time the 3 of you compete for this purple cloud crystal, all based on your own abilities. Zhou Zunyuan said. As soon as Zhou Zunyuan's voice fell, Shi Xiao eagerly spoke. Compared with the 2 fellow Taoists, I am definitely the weakest one, so I will bid first. I am willing to exchange 130,000 spirit stones for this purple cloud crystal. Lin Haoyang frowned when he heard this. In the past, it was only about 100,000 spirit stones to exchange for purple cloud crystal in Qingyun sect. Of course, this is sect's internal preferential price, but even if it is put on the market, the price of a purple cloud crystal will not exceed 110,000 spirit stones, but when this stone comes out, it will be 130,000 spirit stones, which is indeed a bit difficult. Not only Lin Haoyang and others, but even Zhang Lefeng frowned. She couldn't fight spirit stones, but she couldn't fight Shi Xiao, who made the family a popular 4th-order lower-grade spirit talisman, desperately refining spirit talisman over the years, has saved a lot of possessions. But it is not so easy for Lin Haoyang and Zhang Lefeng to admit defeat. After a little consideration, Zhang Lefeng gritted his teeth and said, I will exchange this news with 100,000 spirit stones and a brand new 4th-order pill recipe. Lin Haoyang frowned when they heard it, especially Bai Qingyun. As a 4th-order pill refining teacher, she knew the value of a 4th-order pill recipe best. If this pill recipe Qingyunzong is not included, and the pill recipe is also very effective, the lowest value of a 4th-order pill recipe is about 40 to 50,000 spirit stones. Moreover, this kind of thing is still priceless. With the same amount of spirit stones, I'm afraid Zuo Qianji and others will choose to redeem this pill recipe. Can you let me check the pill recipe? Zhou Zunyuan asked. After hesitating, Zhang Lefeng gave the pill recipe to Zhou Zunyuan for review. Of course, this pill recipe is not complete, but the general effect can be seen. On the side, Shi Xiao's face showed a look of helplessness. As expected, spirit stones alone could not beat these background cultivators. However, Zhang Lefeng's pill recipe did not come from Hu Weiwei, but she obtained it by chance. Finally, after 3 golden core elders discussed, Zhang Lefeng's pill recipe can be worth 50,000 spirit stones, which is equivalent to Zhang Lefeng's bid of 150,000 spirit stones to exchange for this purple cloud crystal. Faced with Zhang Lefeng's bid of 150,000 spirit stones, Lin Xuanlin had no idea. With so many spirit stones, I am afraid that all 3 of them will be cleaned up, and it has just been reached. But facing the same number of spirit stones, Zhou Zunyuan and others would definitely choose to exchange with Zhang Lefeng. As a result, Lin Xuanlin wanted golden core, at least it would have to delay another 10 years, only to wait 10 years later to mine the purple cloud crystal again. Bai Qingyun also had no choice but to pin her hopes on Lin Haoyang. Lin, fellow Taoist, what are you willing to take out to exchange for this purple cloud crystal? Zhou Zunyuan asked. On the side, Zhang Lefeng smiled triumphantly. She took out this pill recipe, and it was a long time after forethoughts. Seeing everyone's eyes falling on him, Lin Haoyang smiled at the corner of his mouth and said, "Should I bid a message to redeem this purple cloud crystal?" Lin Haoyang's words immediately attracted everyone's attention. What kind of news is worth a piece of purple cloud crystal? At this time, Shi Xiao, who was helpless, and Zhang Lefeng, who was full of joy, were both shocked. Especially Zhang Lefeng. She didn't believe that a piece of news was worth more than her 100,000 spirit stones plus a tier 4 inferior talisman. Lin, fellow Taoist, what kind of news will be so valuable? Wang Xiaoyang asked. Lin Haoyang showed a smile on his face and said, "This matter is too valuable. I need to speak with 3 fellow Taoists alone." Seeing Lin Haoyang like this, Zhang Lefeng's face showed anger. Obviously this was intentional to watch out for her. He just wanted to say something, but was stopped by Zhou Zunyuan. I saw Zhou Zunyuan prop up a spirit power enchantment, enveloping Zhou Juntao and Wang Xiaoyang, and said, "Lin, fellow Taoist, comes in and talks." Afterwards, Lin Haoyang walked into the spirit power barrier by himself. Outside of the spirit power shield, Lin Xuanlin's face showed a worried look, and she had no bottom in her heart. What news was worth a purple cloud crystal? But Bai Qingyan came over and held her hand, then nodded, motioning her not to worry. Bai Qingyan is also an extremely smart person, and immediately understood what the news Lin Haoyang was talking about. The news that is more precious than 100,000 spirit stones plus a tier 4 pill recipe is the only red crystal in Moon Lake. Inside the spirit power shield, Lin Haoyang opened his mouth and said something to the 3 Zhou Zunyuan. But because of the spirit power shield, Zhang Lefeng and others could only see the expressions of 4 people. After Lin Haoyang said the news, Zhou Zunyuan's trio instantly changed their expressions, and then showed ecstasy. Seeing Zhou Zunyuan asked a few more questions, Lin Haoyang nodded. Zhou Zunyuan removed the spirit power shield, and said with excitement, "Well, after discussion by the 3 elders, this time Ziyun Jing will return to Bai Qingyan to exchange for a top-secret message." Speaking of Zhou Zunyuan, he slapped his storage bag and directly handed Ziyun Jing into Bai Qingyan's hands. When Shi Xiao saw the purple cloud crystal, his eyes were full of coveting color, but he knew that this purple cloud crystal was definitely not for him. But Zhang Lefeng is not so calm anymore. For this purple cloud crystal, she has done too much effort. Then she turned her gaze to Wang Xiaoyang. Wang Xiaoyang is another backer of Zhang Lefeng after Hu Weiwei's closed door training. But Hu Weiwei shook his head, indicating that he could do nothing. Seeing this, Zhang Lefeng was desperate, and even Wang Xiaoyang had such an attitude. I am afraid that the news that Lin Haoyang said would be enough to make a sensation in Qingyan sect. Xianjing got it, and the 3 of Lin Haoyang went back to Zufeng Mountain. When she arrived at her own site, Bai Qingyan took out Xianjing and said, "Xuanlin, take it." Lin Xuanlin looked at the Ziyun Jing in Bai Qingyan's hand, feeling a little unreality in her heart. They actually got Ziyun Jing in her hands without spending a piece of spirit stones. Because the Hongjing of Moon Lake was too valuable, coupled with the fact that the ogre was soaring, the moment Lin Haoyang and others withdrew from Moon Lake, they blocked the news. Even Lin Xuanlin didn't know, so she was so confused. "I can't ask for it. You have already wanted to make a breakthrough, just use it." Before Lin Xuanlin finished speaking, Lin Haoyang interrupted her. "No, Qingyan has something more suitable for her." As he said, Lin Haoyang pressed his belly and a jade bottle appeared in his hand. After that, Lin Haoyang opened the jade bottle, and a wave of extremely pure spirit power spread out, and at the same time there was a chill. Seeing this, Bai Qingyan hurriedly leaned forward, and then she trembled with ecstasy on her face. Wan Nian, Chalcedony, 41%. Chapter 248 Bai Qingyan Golden Core. Lin Xuanlin was also stunned by the side. He didn't recognize what it was. She found Lin Haoyang and asked him to help find the Millennium Chalcedony. At that time, Lin Haoyang said that she already had eyebrows. But Lin Haoyang didn't tell her that he actually possessed the treasure of Wanian Chalcedony in his hand. It's no wonder that Lin Haoyang is so well informed, saying that there is a treasure that is more suitable for Bai Qingyan. For Bai Qingyan, the Wanian Chalcedony in Lin Haoyang's hands was indeed better than Xianjing. Afterwards, Lin Haoyang explained the origin of Wanian Chalcedony. After some explanation, Lin Xuanlin grinned. "Haoyang, your shit luck is too good." Lin Haoyang just smiled. Indeed, his luck is indeed good, or it can be said that he has strong luck, which is exactly what Su Linger said. Bai Qingyan put half a drop of 10,000 years chalcedony in her storage bag, the joy on her face couldn't be concealed at all, and said, Xuanlin, now you can take this purple cloud crystal. This time, Lin Xuanlin did not refuse any more. The feelings between the three can no longer be measured by spirit stones. The three can go to this day, and it is the result of mutual support. Seeing Lin Xuanlin put Xianjing away, Bai Qingyan leaned forward and kissed Lin Haoyang on the face. Lin Haoyang brought Xianjing to her, which really made her so happy. Lin Haoyang smiled. He hadn't seen Bai Qingyan for a long time, and he took him into his arms. When Lin Xuanlin saw this, she was no stranger to it, but she was still very interested in the news that Lin Haoyang used to exchange, and asked, Haoyang, what the news is that it has such a value? It is higher than Zhang Lefeng's bid, and even Wang Elder will no longer look at her. Obviously, the two also knew that the relationship between Wang Xiaoyang and Zhang Lefeng was unusual, and it was also one of the factors that they feared that they could not compete with Zhang Lefeng. Facing Lin Xuanlin's question, Bai Qingyan said on the side, Come over and kiss Haoyang, and I'll tell you. Lin Xuanlin's face instantly blushed when she heard this. Although she had a lot of trouble with Bai Qingyan on weekdays, it was the first time that she spoke in front of Lin Haoyang like this. Don't tell me, I don't want to listen. Lin Xuanlin mumbled, and ran out of Immortal Cave. Seeing Lin Xuanlin's departure, Lin Haoyang's face showed a look of helplessness, saying, Qingyan, is this joke too big? Bai Qingyan leaned over on Lin Haoyang's chest and said, If it is another woman, if you dare to make a move, I will definitely tear you down. But Zan Lan is different. For so many years, the three of us have been supporting each other all the way. She and I have long been like sisters, and only you are in her heart. Anyway, Zan Lan will marry someone sooner or later, and it would be better for you to be cheaper than other men. Quote. Listening to this, Lin Haoyang has 5 mixed reports in his heart. Although he and Lin Xuanlin come from the same family, he and Lin Xuanlin are not the same, and they have long been in the 5 blessings. Moreover, in the world of cultivating immortals, because the family is huge, in order to ensure the purity of the family blood, there are more cultivators of spiritual roots appearing in the younger generations, and many of them are inter-ethnic marriages. So even if Lin Haoyang married Lin Xuanlin, the Lin family would only be happy. But Lin Haoyang still had concerns and could only put the matter down temporarily. Okay, I'll talk about it later. How confident are you with that half drop of the 10,000-year stone breakthrough? Lin Haoyang asked. If it is 1,000-year chalcedony, I have 80% confidence in the breakthrough golden core, and now I have a 90% confidence in the breakthrough of the 10,000-year chalcedony. Bai Qingyan said. Listening to this, Lin Haoyang was completely relieved, 90% sure, Bai Qingyan's golden core is also safe. On the second day, Lin Haoyang and his wife temporarily borrowed an immortal cave on Qingyan sect leader peak for breakthrough purposes. Lin Haoyang personally protected Bai Qingyan. Lin Haoyang was there and Lin Xuanlin didn't come. The spiritual rice of Zufeng Mountain just matured, and she would plant a new round after picking it. Bai Qingyan closed door training breakthrough golden core realm 20 days later. Zuo Qianji returned to sect, personally summoned Lin Haoyang and asked about Hongjing. Lin Haoyang received Zuo Qianji's summons with a smile on his face, and hurriedly asked Lin Xuanlin to come to Bai Qingyan to replace him, and he rushed to see Zuo Qianji. The 4 coalition forces have coveted the Hongjing on the site of Moon Lake in the central island for a long time, but because of the existence of ogre and ghost vines, they have never dared to take any action. Now that Lin Haoyang golden core, the situation in Saihei Mountain has stabilized, and the conditions for the development of Moon Lake are ripe, he does not believe that Zuo Qianji can stop Hongjing's temptation. Soon, Lin Haoyang came to Zuo Qianji's immortal cave. At the same time, Zhou Zunyuan, Zhou Juntao, and Wang Xiaoyang were also here. Lin Haoyang had some doubts in his mind, why Zuo Qianji summoned himself and still had 3 golden cores here. But soon Lin Haoyang understood that Hu Weiwei's closed door training breakthrough nascent soul was probably within Zuo Qianji's immortal cave. Because of the entire Qingyan Peak, the place where the spirit power is the strongest and the safest is the immortal cave of Zuo Qianji. Head teacher, is it inappropriate for me to come here? Lin Haoyang said. Zuo Qianji swayed and said, With me, no one can make any storms. This time, I just want to ask you, are you sure what you found is Hongjing? Lin Haoyang nodded and said, The specific output is not clear. We only found 1 red crystal deposit, but its scale is still not small, most of which are 3rd order, but there are also many 4th order. As for the 5th order red crystal, it has not been discovered yet. When Zuo Qianji heard this, his face showed excitement. Even if it was only the third order red crystal, it was already quite good, and the fourth order red crystal was already doubled in value. Suddenly, Zuo Qianji asked, "Do you know what these red crystals do?" Lin Haoyang was taken aback, obviously did not understand the meaning of Zuo Qianji's words, but still said, "Used on the cannon." Zuo Qianji shook his head and said, "For the Jianmeng, the value of Hongjing is used on the Shening cannon, but it is impossible for the Jianmeng to purify the Hongjing and the drawings of the Shening cannon, so the greatest value of the Shening cannon lies in exchange resources with Jianmeng. Among these resources, the most precious is the teleportation array. As long as a fourth-order teleportation array can connect Qingyunzong with Fanyu Mountain, or connect Baixiang Mountain with Yuchenzhongya, can't you say I am not excited?" Quote. When Lin Haoyang heard this, his expression suddenly froze. Yeah, he didn't expect to use Hongjing to exchange the teleportation array. If they had the teleportation array, then their process of developing the wilds would be greatly accelerated. It's not that they don't want to use the teleportation array, but that the teleportation array is almost controlled by big forces. Even Zuo Qianji couldn't get it, but the appearance of Hongjing was an opportunity to speed up wild development. Then you said that there is danger in the Moon Lake, what is it? Zuo Qianji asked. After knowing the correct usage of Hongjing, Lin Haoyang didn't have any more shadows, and immediately said all the things that had happened when he landed on the island of Moon Lake. Zuo Qianji frowned when he heard the ogre vine, obviously he had heard the name. However, Zhou Zunyuan and the other three golden cores looked at a loss, apparently they had never heard of it. Zuo Qianji was silent for a while and said, "The cannibal ghost vine is not easy to deal with. Although you have agreed with him again, for safety's sake, wait until Hu Weiwei succeeds in setting up the baby. With two nascent soul cultivators there, the ogre vines can't make any waves, and they are more certain to get them out of the island." Quote. Lin Haoyang nodded in recognition. The strength of the cannibal vine makes him extremely jealous now. After that, Lin Haoyang left and waited until Hu Weiwei's closed-door training was over. Half a year later, Bai Qingyan stepped out of the customs and succeeded in Golden Core with the help of half a drop of Wanian chalcedony. Moreover, the cultivation base came to the late stage on the first floor of Golden Core, and Lin Haoyang came before Lin Haoyang again. After another 3 months, there was a tremor on Qingyan Peak, and spirit power began to frantically converge towards the immortal cave of Thousand Chants. It was the most critical moment for Hu Weiwei to knot the baby. 42%. Chapter 249 Demonic Beasts Interference Transcends Tribulation. This kind of baby-bearing vision immediately caused the entire Qingyan Peak to tremble. To ensure Hu Weiwei's successful baby-bearing, Zuo Qianji ordered the shutdown of the spirit power supply of other immortal caves. If Bai Qingyan hasn't left the customs at this time, I'm afraid they will be interrupted, making him fall short. But Bai Qingyan had already calculated the closed-door training before. Her golden core must be in front of Hu Weiwei. Otherwise, she would have to wait another year for Hu Weiwei to pass the closed-door training breakthrough. After discussing with Lin Haoyang, Bai Qingyan succeeded in breaking through the golden core between Hu Weiwei's baby-bearing gap. Although the supply of spirit power from other immortal caves on Qingyan Mountain was closed, the Edu cultivator was not affected. At first, most of the cultivators rushed to Fanyu Mountain, and there were not too many cultivators left behind in Qingyunzong. At the same time, everyone knows about Hu Weiwei's closed-door training. At this critical juncture of Hu Weiwei's exit, everyone will definitely come to watch, and no one will try to close-door training at this time. Qingyan Peak itself has a height of no less than 6,000 meters, and the main peak originally towered into the clouds, which was extremely spectacular. Now Hu Weiwei has become nascent soul, making this vision even more spectacular. I saw thousands of miles of high-altitude clouds converge, gradually forming thunder on the Azure Cloud sect. Similar to demonic beasts, the cultivator will also be baptized by thunder when breakthrough nascent soul. Unlike demonic beasts, the human body is inherently inferior to demonic beasts, and there are only 36 thunder tribulations. If Hu Weiwei was allowed to endure the catastrophe that the Green Zhao had overcome, it would definitely be difficult to survive. In addition to the gathering of robbery clouds in the sky, the spirit power of the Azure Cloud sect also formed a spirit power vortex, converging straight into the immortal cave of Zuo Qianji. Seeing that Hu Weiwei had reached the most critical juncture, there was a voice in the sky. Zuo Qianji, do you think your strategy of adjusting the tiger away from the mountain can deceive me? If you block the transcends tribulation of Qing Jiao, I will definitely not let this female doll be promoted successfully. Afterwards, two huge figures appeared outside Qingyan Peak. It was Li Huo Brahma, and beside him was the mammoth that had escaped. Because Hu Weiwei's transcends tribulation requires a lot of spirit power, he can't turn on the mountain protection formation, otherwise it will block the circulation of spirit power. In the end, if the spirit power is not enough, Hu Weiwei will be defeated. Seeing this, Zhuo Qianji frowned. Apparently he didn't expect Li Huo Brahma to find the mammoth. Now 2-1, it is difficult to stop the mammoth without destroying Hu Weiwei's closed door training. Feeling the outside vision, the spirit power vortex trembled a little. Although Hu Weiwei closed door training, the breath of Li Huo Brahma and mammoth was too large, and it was still felt. At this moment, Zhou Zunyuan's 3 golden cores stood up and shouted into Qingyan Peak. Hu fellow Taoist is at peace with babies, but a small mammoth is not enough to make me fearful. Where is my Qingyunzong cultivator? Qingyunzong Zhou Juntao, never retreat. Qingyunzong King Xiaoyang, never retreat. Afterwards, Lin Haoyang, Bai Qingyan, and Lin Xuanlin stood up from the ground and shouted. Qingyunzong Bai Qingyan, Lin Xuanlin, and Lin Haoyang will not retreat. The 3 of them had just risen, and more than 40 figures rose up, shouting at the same time. Qingyunzong cultivator, never retreat. At the same time, countless condensed pulses of Qingyan Peak, Shantian, and even mortal figures appeared, and a large array of various magic charms lighted up, shouting. Qingyunzong cultivator, never retreat. Zhuo Qianji said with a solemn expression. Li Huo, have you seen it? Today is the moment of decisive battle. Either you die or my Azure Cloud sect is dead. After Zhuo Qianji finished speaking, Flying Sword suddenly shot out and went straight to Li Huo Brahma. Kill. The other cultivators of Qingyan sect, like moths, went straight to the mammoth. At this time, the spirit power vortex on Qingyan Peak calmed down instead, and there was the same family of Qingyunzong desperately fighting each other, Hu Weiwei certainly couldn't let them go in vain. Li Huo Brahma saw Zhuo Qianji coming straight to him, and seeing a large number of Qingyunzong cultivators heading straight to the mammoth, a bad feeling arose in his heart. But before he had time to think about it, Zhuo Qianji had already rushed over with Flying Sword, and Zhuo Qianji's move was fatal this time, as if he was desperately fighting Li Huo Brahma. Originally, he was not Zhuo Qianji's opponent, but now Zhuo Qianji is desperately intercepting and killing, and Li Huo Brahma Bull is even less an opponent, and he can't be distracted to interrupt Hu Weiwei's golden core. Once he gets distracted, he will probably die today under Zhuo Qianji's sword. On the other side, the Azure Cloud sect cultivator headed by 5 golden cores including Lin Haoyang also surrounded the mammoths. Behind them is the light of more than 40 foundation building cultivators and countless rune formations on the ground. The mammoth was stepping on a cloud at this moment. The cloud and his size were extremely mismatched, and the picture looked a little weird. Then the mammoth jumped and flew directly from the clouds and landed outside Qingyan Peak. Although the mammoth has learned to fly, it is only by leveraging his strength. His strongest state is still on the ground. Seeing this, everyone rushed to the ground. At the same time, various magical items, charms, and formation attacks flooded the mammoth. Hu Weiwei's transcends tribulation has reached the most critical moment, and she must not be interrupted by the mammoth. As long as Hu Weiwei's transcends tribulation succeeds, Qingyunzong's strength will also be doubled, and it will be much easier to defend 2 Tier 5 spiritual veins. But these attacks and magical charms fell on the 5th order mammoth, but they didn't cause much damage. The leather armor of the 5th order mammoth is too thick. The foundation building cultivator's attack can't even break through the leather armor. Their attack can't stop the action of the mammoth. Only the damage of 5 golden cores can break open the mammoth's leather armor and cause damage to him, but the damage is not small, it can only cause some small wounds that are not painful or itchy. Seeing this, Lin Haoyang frowned. With their 5 golden core cultivators and more than 40 foundation building cultivators, it is difficult to stop Tier 5 mammoths. At this moment, Zhou Zunyuan's hands moved, and a dark red magic talisman appeared in Zhou Zunyuan's hands. This time, Zhou Zunyuan didn't pause at all, and directly injected a large amount of spirit power into the magic talisman, and the whole magic talisman also emitted horrible fluctuations in an instant. In this situation, only the use of Tier 5 magic talisman can cause damage to it. Lin Haoyang urged the Long Yuan sword to slash at the same position on the back of the mammoth while watching Zhou Zunyuan urge the 5th order magic talisman. Lin Haoyang couldn't help but worry about whether this Tier 5 magic talisman could severely damage the mammoth. The fifth order magic talisman cannot kill the fifth order demonic beasts, just as the fourth order low-grade magic talisman cannot kill Lin Haoyang. If the ranks cannot reach the level of crushing, they cannot directly kill demonic beasts with magic charms. Boom. Under Zhou Zunyuan's urging, the fifth order magic talisman directly turned into a red thunder dragon and went straight to the mammoth. The original 3 tier 5 magic charms of the Azure Cloud sect, the most powerful is the thunder talisman in Zhou Zunyuan's hands. Its power is equivalent to the full blow of the nascent soul 3 tier cultivator. It was because of the strongest power of the Fury Talisman that Qingyunzong stayed for the last use. At this moment, the red thunder dragon in the sky, after appearing, wandered around in the midst of Hu Weiwei's thunder. After this lap, the thunder tribulation on Hu Weiwei's head was a little smaller, and at least 1/10 of the tribulation cloud disappeared. Seeing this scene, Lin Haoyang and the others were also dumbfounded. They saw it for the first time. There were magical charms that could absorb the thunder disaster. Zuo Qianji also noticed this scene, and inadvertently nodded to Lei Jia. Apparently he understood why Lei Long wanted to do this. After the red thunder dragon came out of Hu Weiwei's robbery cloud, the power of thunder and lightning was even greater, and the red thunder and thunder were even mixed with white thunder. This gave him an unprecedented ascension power, reaching the level of nascent soul's 4-tier cultivator. When the mammoth saw the angry dragon at this moment, he was panicked, knowing that he could not escape the lock of the fifth order magic talisman. He arched its ivory and went straight to the angry dragon. 42%. Chapter 250 Nascent Soul. The mammoth's innate supernatural power is the pair of 10-meter-long ivory thorns. Because the mammoth is huge, the power of the thorns is extremely powerful. When Su Qin fought with him, he was only harassing him remotely. Regardless of the mammoth fleeing, even Zheng Jicheng wanted to kill the mammoth head-on. Boom. After a loud noise, a tooth of the mammoth collided with the rushing angry dragon. It seemed that the power of terror was scattered, and even Lin Haoyang and others were forced to retreat by life and did not dare to approach the mammoth. This is still the result of the mammoth taking over the power of the fifth order magic talisman. If the fifth order magic talisman falls on the ground like the battle against Shuanglong Mountain, the power of the magic talisman is allowed to spread out. I am afraid that Lin Haoyang and others will also be affected by the power of the magic talisman, and even if they are not dead, they will be seriously injured. At this moment, the place where the mammoth is located has been transformed into a red lightning forbidden zone, with electric light shining everywhere, exterminating all objects within its power range. At this time, the spirit power vortex on Qingyun Peak disappeared, and Hu Weiwei was successfully promoted to nascent soul. The moment the spirit power vortex disappeared, a golden figure suddenly rushed out of Qingyun Peak. The figure was the size of a human head. If you look closely, you will find that this figure is very similar to Hu Weiwei. Immediately afterwards, Hu Weiwei rushed out of Qingyun Peak and went straight to the thunder robbery in the sky. And the golden figure that flew out just now was the nascent soul that Hu Weiwei broke out of his core. Only the nascent soul cultivator had the ability. At this point, as long as Hu Weiwei and her nascent soul survive the thunder, then she will be a real nascent soul cultivator. This is also one of the biggest differences between Terran cultivator and demonic beasts. Demonic beasts' breakthrough is the 5th level of the flesh, which is the transcends tribulation, which tempers the flesh. The cultivator transcends tribulation is the nascent soul transcends tribulation, which tempers the nascent soul. This is also the reason why the nascent soul cultivator body is destroyed and the nascent soul can survive. As Hu Weiwei rushed into the robbery cloud seemed to be brewing to the extreme. A white lightning fell from the thundercloud and struck Hu Weiwei's nascent soul. The cultivator's nascent soul has just broken through, and is relatively weak, unable to withstand the frontal bombardment of the thunder tribulation. At this time, it needs the help of the body to help transcends tribulation to divert most of the thunder tribulation. Because the red angry dragon took away 1/10 of the thunderclouds, the thunder tribulation that Hu Weiwei endured was also 1/10 weaker. At this moment, Hu Weiwei propped up a spirit power shield to block the first thunder robbery. At the same time as Hu Weiwei transcends tribulation, the power of the Tier 5 magic talisman on the ground finally dissipated, and everyone saw the mammoth again. The condition of the 5th order mammoth can be described as extremely miserable. It turned out that 2 ivory 10 meters long, one of them was broken at this moment, and the other one was also broken in half. In addition, the mammoth's trunk was also shattered near the lips, and even the entire huge head of the mammoth was bloody. One eye was shattered, and one blood red settled in, almost blind. In addition, the thick hairs of the mammoth's body are all scorched as black as carbon at this moment. Such a tragic situation made Lin Haoyang a little dumbfounded. He did not expect that the power of a Tier 5 magic talisman would be so terrifying. The shock in Zhou Zunyuan's heart was the strongest. He had personally urged this magic talisman, and he himself had never expected that the power could reach this level. The Tier 5 magic talisman in Shuanglong Mountain was used by Hu Weiwei. Although its power was boofin, it was obviously not comparable to this one. Obviously, there was something secret in this magic talisman. But at this moment, everyone can no longer control that much, because although the Tier 5 mammoth was seriously injured by the rage talisman, it has not yet died, and their mission has not been completed. Zhou Zunyuan's flying sword reappeared, holding a sword in his right hand, and shouting at the mammoth. Kill. Immediately, Qing Yunzong went up and down, kill. The words continued, and the murderous aura continued. Of course, Lin Haoyang and the others would not let go of this good opportunity, and immediately urged Long Yuan in their hands to kill the mammoth. At the same time, Bai Qingyun also urged the long whip in her hand to kill the mammoth's head. Lin Haoyang urged Long Yuanjian to take out the deep blue eye. The bones of the mammoth's whole body are the hardest head, which is why even the ivory is broken and the mammoth's skull is still intact. And Lin Haoyang took out the deep blue eye, waiting for an opportunity to see if he could find a chance to hit the mammoth again. But at this moment, the mammoth suddenly lifted its feet and stepped on the ground fiercely. Suddenly, the ground was centered on the mammoth and sank into a huge pit. Immediately afterwards, an invisible wave of air scattered around the deep pit. The attack of the Golden Core Cultivator and magical item of Qing Yunzong's Golden Core Cultivator fell on the wave of air, and it was lifted directly. Only the 5 golden cores attacked from the position where the foundation building cultivator was dispersed and attacked again, which opened the gap in the air wave. But at this moment the mammoth has hidden underground, and everyone dare not attack easily. A single blow from the mammoth can destroy their magical item. No one wanted to bear this unnecessary loss. At this moment, Long Yuan turned around, and sword chi cut to the ground. How could this ground withstand the attack of Long Yuanjian, and Long Yuan suddenly opened a big hole. At this time, Zhou Zunyuan also understood Lin Haoyang's meaning, and immediately ordered. The Shantian cultivator controls the formation, making the ground veins in the deep pit become chaotic for me. The foundation building cultivator aimed me at the ground near the deep pit and blasted me wildly. The mammoth must be forced out. First, under the control of the Qing Yunzong cultivator, the ground veins began to become extremely chaotic with the deep pit as the center, and the entire ground became trembling. At this moment, the mammoth was attacking Lin Haoyang and others with his terrifying power. The anger and thunder talisman had already broken through the defenses of the mammoth's body, and he would not be able to stand the combined force of more than 40 foundation building cultivators. In addition, his ivory was broken and his head injury was heavier. The only attack methods that could be used were brute force and inner alchemy. The attack of the Fury Talisman was beyond his imagination. Before his ivory was completely broken, he spit out his own inner alchemy, which exhausted the power of the Red Thunder Dragon, which made him consume a lot of inner alchemy. At this moment, he is still a little away from Qingyan Peak. Even if he uses the inner alchemy to interfere with Hu Weiwei at such a distance, his chances of winning are not great. Therefore, he wanted to rely on brute force to approach Qingyan Peak from underground, and then use the inner alchemy to interfere with Hu Weiwei. But he didn't expect that not long after he got into the ground, the underground veins began to become extremely chaotic, and all the veins were like this. The power of the earth veins shaking was extremely high, and his body was already injured very seriously, and he couldn't hold it at all. At this time, the foundation building cultivator's attack began to attack indiscriminately again. After staying in there for a stick of incense, he finally couldn't stay on the ground, turned over, and came out of the ground by himself. As soon as he came out, he was greeted by the attacks of 5 golden cores from Lin Haoyang and more than 40 foundation building cultivators. These attacks fell on the mammoth, causing him to be injured in an instant, and he was injured again and again. Roar. With a roar, the mammoth directly vomited its own inner alchemy and called everyone. The mammoth's inner alchemy is extremely large, with a diameter of 0.5 meter, and there is also a reduced version of the mammoth on the inner alchemy. At the moment when Ne Dan called, Lin Haoyang and others' complexions changed wildly. Zhou Zunyuan shouted at this moment. Sacrifice to the magic talisman. Zhou Zunyuan spoke. Everyone is almost subconsciously based on their own magic talisman. Then the magic talisman turned into more than 43rd order or higher talisman, and they hit the mammoth. Lin Haoyang and Zhou Zunyuan played the brightest among these magic talisman light rain, because these two are 4th order high-grade magic talisman. The magic talisman fell on the inner core of the mammoth, causing a violent explosion in an instant. After about a stick of incense, the terrifying power dissipated, and the inner alchemy of the mammoth shrank a circle, and the imprint of the soul on it became weak. But at this time, the mammoth was so ruthless in his heart that he urged the weak inner alchemy to call again. When everyone saw this, they immediately felt cold. When Zhou Zunyuan saw this and was about to fill it with human lives, Hu Weiwei's voice came. Next. Leave it to me. 42%. Chapter 251. When everyone heard this sound, they all showed ecstasy. This was exactly what Hu Weiwei said. Just now, Hu Weiwei successfully passed the 36th heavenly tribulation. At this moment, her nascent soul was still immersed in thunder tribulation, but she herself rushed over first. Just now when the mammoth offered the Tier 5 demonic beast's inner alchemy, she was about to complete the transcends tribulation, and she was relieved to see everyone stop it with the magic talisman. But the mammoth once again urged the inner alchemy to kill her, so that she could no longer sit still, without a large number of magical charms to stop her. Then Zhou Zunyuan and the others could only rely on human lives to fill it. Hu Weiwei didn't want this to happen, so he asked Nascent Soul to absorb thunder tribulation liquid in the robbery cloud, and she herself killed the mammoth. Hu Weiwei's condition at the moment is also not very good. His robes all over his body are almost shattered, and it is not skin that reveals, but a scorched body. But compared to the mammoth, Hu Weiwei's injury is still much lighter. Hu Weiwei held 3 long ropes in his hands. These 3 long ropes were made by the 3 tails of the 3-tailed fox. Zuo Qianji gave it to her to resist thunder. It is with this 5th order magical item that Hu Weiwei can get through heavenly tribulation so quickly. The 5th order magical item is very precious unless supported by the elders. Otherwise, if you want to have a Tier 5 magical item in the Golden Core realm, unless you have the chance to be heaven-defying. At this moment, under the control of Hu Weiwei, 3 long ropes encircled and killed the mammoth's inner alchemy. The long ropes of Niden and Hu Weiwei were strangled together, as if hitting the silt, they were unloaded completely. The mammoth saw that the situation was not good and wanted to take back its own demonic beast's inner alchemy, but the long rope made by the 3 foxtails wrapped the mammoth's inner alchemy tightly, making it immobile. The mammoth was in a hurry. Now that he is so badly injured, it depends on the inner alchemy to maintain the situation. Demonic beast's inner alchemy is again entangled, and I am afraid he will be buried here today. At this moment, the mammoth no longer allowed demonic beast's inner alchemy to break through the encirclement, and saw that the already lifeless mammoth inner alchemy suddenly burst into golden light. The mammoth phantom that was originally engraved on the inner alchemy of the mammoth came alive at this moment. After the imprinted phantom walked out of the inner alchemy, he actually fought with the 3-tailed fox rope, and the originally suppressed situation instantly disappeared. In this way, the method of summoning imprinted phantoms to help fight is the correct use of Tier 5 demonic beasts' inner alchemy, and it is also the method that Tier 5 demonic beasts will use only at the moment of life and death. Because this imprint of the soul not only consumes the power of the inner alchemy, but also consumes the power of the soul of demonic beasts. After using it once, it will take a long time to cultivate. In the last battle of Brahma Niu Mountain, Lihuo Brahma was engraved with phantoms by summoning, and it escaped from Zuo Qianji's hands. Seeing the 3-tailed fox rope entangled by the phantom imprinted by the mammoth, Hu Weiwei's expression changed. After all, she had just finished Transcends Tribulation, and Nascent Soul was no longer in her body. It was impossible to kill the mammoth by herself. Everyone, I am here to entangle the inner alchemy of the mammoth, and you can quickly kill his body. Afterwards, Hu Weiwei patted his own storage bag, and a Tier 4 top-grade Shushui sword appeared in her hands. Using it at this moment, the power of this flying sword was released fiercely and exquisitely. Hu Weiwei held the Shushui sword and matched the 3-tailed fox rope, and stubbornly stopped the mammoth inner alchemy and imprinted phantom, preventing him from returning to the mammoth. The Tier 5 mammoth was furious. Without the demonic beast's inner alchemy on his body, half of his spirit power was removed, and his injuries were no longer able to be suppressed, and the wounds all over his body began to crack apart. At this time, Lin Haoyang and others came to kill again, making it worse. You don't need to attack his head, where is the hardest part of his body, bombard his neck together and break his spine. Lin Haoyang shouted. When everyone heard this, they immediately launched their own attack on the mammoth's neck, and all kinds of light rushed straight to the mammoth's neck. The mammoth's leather armor had been broken by the rage and thunder talisman. At this moment, Everyone attacked and fell, instantly splashing blood. Although the back of the mammoth's neck was completely bloody, because the mammoth was too big, everyone could not break through the mammoth's flesh for a while and hit the mammoth's spine. The severe pain began to drive the mammoth crazy, and the huge body began to bump around. The low-level cultivator that controls the formation on the ground couldn't be avoided at all. Wherever the fifth-order mammoth passed, it instantly suffered heavy casualties. Even the foundation building cultivator couldn't avoid it, and was directly smashed into flesh by a Tier 5 mammoth. Suddenly, a blue light lit up and shot out of Lin Haoyang's hand, and went straight to the mammoth. Lin Haoyang has been looking for this opportunity for a long time. Just now, the mammoth rushed into a small valley with rocks on three sides. The mammoth was instantly set on fire by everyone, and most of the flesh and blood at the back of the neck had been cut off by everyone, and the spine was also exposed in front of everyone. Now that he was trapped by the terrain again, he immediately landed on the spine of the mammoth, but the bones of the mammoth were very hard. After being worn down by everyone, sooner or later he would die in Yellow Springs. The mammoth also felt that something was wrong, and immediately turned around and rushed towards everyone again. When he turned around, he just pointed his head at Lin Haoyang. Lin Haoyang instantly found the opportunity to directly push the deep blue eye in his hand to the limit. Only in an instant, a blue light filled the mammoth's left eyeball. This strike directly hit the mammoth's left eyeball, and then the blood-red eyeball of the mammoth burst open and turned into a dark hollow. As a result, the mammoth can no longer see anything with his eyes, and is completely blind. However, the power of the deep blue eye is limited to this, but this is enough. After the mammoth is completely invisible, it can only be slaughtered by everyone. After a stick of incense, a golden figure flew down among the thunderclouds above Qingyun Peak. It was the nascent soul that Hu Weiwei had absorbed the thunder tribulation liquid. Now that nascent soul has returned, Hu Weiwei's strength has soared, and soon he will take the mammoth's inner alchemy. Hu Weiwei vacated his hand, and soon the body of the mammoth couldn't hold it, and finally fell into the hands of everyone. After the corpse of the mammoth fell, everyone still had lingering fears. This Tier 5 demonic beasts was really difficult to deal with. If it hadn't been for the Rage and Thunder talisman that severely damaged the mammoth's body, then Hu Weiwei entangled the mammoth's inner alchemy, or relying on Lin Haoyang and others would not be able to support it at all. Nevertheless, under the mammoth's fury, the Qingyunzong buildings still destroyed a large area, and Ningmei, Shantian, mortals, etc. were trampled to death by the mammoth in the chaos, and there were no more than 1,000 people. Even the foundation building cultivator, in the hands of the crazy mammoth, also killed 6 people tragically. You know, to withdraw the foundation building cultivator that can stay in Qingyunfang, at least it is the late stage cultivator, the fall of these 6 people. It is also a great loss. Half an hour after the mammoth was cut, Zuo Qianji also fell down, and saw that his face was bloody, his shirt was dyed red, and his abdomen was pierced by a wound, bloody and bloody. The great enemy of Lihuo Brahma has been killed by me. The enemy who threatened my Azure Cloud sect for hundreds of years was finally wiped out. As he said, the head of a Lihuo Brahma with only one horn was taken out by Zuo Qianji. Seeing the head of the Lihuo Brahma bull, Qingyunzong suddenly burst into extremely strong cheers. The enmity between the Lihuo Brahma and the Azure Cloud sect has been going on for hundreds of years. The head teacher of the previous generation of the Azure Cloud sect was killed by the Lihuo Brahma. This is also the reason why Zuo Qianji fought the Lihuo Brahma to death many times, and this time he was desperately wounded to kill the Lihuo Brahma. 42%. 252 I disagree. With the fall of 2 Tier 5 demonic beasts, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. This time the Azure Cloud sect's loss was not insignificant. In the end, the Tier 5 mammoth went mad, and the lost buildings, spiritual fields, infrastructure, etc., were probably worth around 200,000 spirit stones. To rebuild these facilities, I am afraid that another 200,000 spirit stones will be needed. In this calculation, the 5th order mammoth alone has caused the loss of 400,000 spirit stones. Moreover, many cultivators were killed this time, and a large amount of money was needed as a pension. In total, 300,000 spirit stones are needed this time to make up for the whole. But now, the Azure Cloud sect is making every effort to build Fanyu Mountain, and these 300,000 spirit stones are hard to come by. There is no way. Zuo Qianji can only sell all the mammoth's body materials to Chongshanlu, so as to alleviate the shortage of spirit stones. It is a pity that a tooth of the mammoth was destroyed by the Thunder Talisman, otherwise this tooth alone would be worth 100,000 spirit stones. In addition to the ivory, the mammoth's leather armor was also destroyed. The only thing that can be used to refine the magical item is the 4 leg bones and the hardest skull. These are all materials that can be used as the 5th order magical item. If you count it, a leg bone of 30,000 and a skull of 50,000 can fill the whole of 170,000 spirit stones. Together with the other bones and flesh of the mammoth, it can be worth about 200,000 spirit stones. Forced to be helpless, Zuo Qianji took out a horn from the Huo Brahma bull. The value of this 5th order top-grade demonic beast's material is about 100,000 spirit stones. In this way, it can barely fill the holes of 300,000 spirit stones. However, this time it was not the people of the Qingyan sect who went to the Chongshan Tower, but the people who were waiting for the Chongshan Tower to come to the Qingyan sect. Because not long ago, Zuo Qianji sent Zheng Jichang news about Hongjing, and it is likely that Zheng Jichang will come in person soon. Lin Haoyang did a lot of credit this time. Originally, the Azure Cloud sect would have given a lot of contribution points, but Lin Haoyang asked for a mammoth rib. Although this rib was of rank 5, its strength was not as high as that of rank 5 materials, so the value was not high. Zhou Zunyuan agreed. The reason why Lin Haoyang wanted the ribs of this mammoth was because he wanted to use it to forge an épée for himself, since Lin Haoyang's strength soared. I felt that the magical item such as Longyuanjian was too light. After seeing Lin Juwu and others forging an épée, Lin Haoyang himself wanted to build an épée for himself. Because the size of a mammoth is more than 100 meters, his rib is also more than 20 meters in size, and its weight is about 15,000. At that time, Lin Haoyang was dumbfounded when he got this rib. With a length of more than 20 meters, his storage bag couldn't fit at all. So he picked up the 10,000 Jin inner bone and went straight back to Zufeng Mountain. Many people saw this scene and were frightened by Lin Haoyang's terrifying power. Even Bai Qingyan and Lin Xuanlin were frightened, not knowing what Lin Haoyang wanted to do. After returning to Zufeng Mountain, Lin Haoyang began to use his own pill fire to smelt this rib. It took a month to finally smelt it to a length of 5 meters. Because too much spirit power was injected during the smelting process, the weight of the ribs did not decrease but increased, reaching 17 kilograms. Lin Haoyang was satisfied with this level of practice and put it in his storage bag. Of course, only the ribs of a mammoth, the épée only has its shape, and it cannot be regarded as a magical item. If you want to really refine it into an épée, then you need to add refining materials to it. This kind of refining material must be sturdy and not light in weight. The brass in the wasteland can only be counted as auxiliary materials. After all, in Lin Haoyang's expectation, the weight of this heavy sword would end up being around 27,000 catties. With such a weight, Lin Haoyang will be able to use it for a long time in the future. Searching all over the Azure Cloud sect, finally found a red jade stone, which can be used to enhance the strength of the magical item. This piece of red jade stone was the size of a human head, barely enough, and Lin Haoyang finally spent 11,000 spirit stones before redeeming it. In this way, if Lin Haoyang wants to refine his own épée, he also needs a very heavy spiritual object to increase the weight of the épée. However, Lin Haoyang did not find suitable materials in the Azure Cloud sect, so he could only make other plans. 3 days later, Zheng Jichang rushed to Qingyunzong Qingyan Peak. In order to save time, Zheng Jichang came alone and did not bring anyone else. And Su Qin and Ziyan each insisted on a 5th order spiritual vein to prevent outsiders from sneaking. Lin Haoyang was summoned by Zuo Qianji as soon as Zheng Jichang arrived. This time, it was also in Zuo Qianji's private immortal cave. Zuo Qianji's injury was not minor. He was supposed to recover from the closed-door training, but Hongjing is of great importance. Zuo Qianji can only support the negotiation with Zheng Jichang. Lin Haoyang just went to the immortal cave of Zuo Qianji alone. When Lin Haoyang arrived, there were only 4 people in the immortal cave. Zuo Qianji, Hu Weiwei, Zhou Zunyuan, Zheng Jichang, and others are not eligible to participate in this secret meeting. When Lin Haoyang arrived, everyone was sitting silently without first discussing. When I saw Zuo Qianji again, the wound on his abdomen was much smaller, but it was still pierced back and forth. Obviously, the injuries left by the Huo Brahma were not simple. Compared with Zuo Qianji, Hu Weiwei's condition is much better. Although his face is still a little pale, his body is full of vitality, and it is obvious that the injury of the Thunder Tribulation has been recovered for most of the time. Seeing Lin Haoyang coming, Zhou Zunyuan spoke. Lin, fellow Taoist, Zhang Sr. came here personally this time just for Hong Jing's matter. About Hong Jing's details, please come and tell Zhang Sr. in detail. Lin Haoyang has not concealed it. Now that it is clear that the three parties need to cooperate, and naturally they must trust each other. So Lin Haoyang told Zhang Jicheng about the matter in Yuehu again, without concealing anything. Zhang Jicheng frowned slightly after hearing this. Obviously he also knew what the ogre vine was. In Lin Haoyang's description, the strength of the ogre vine might not be lower than the 9-layer cultivator of nascent soul. With such strength, they are also very troubled when facing it. Although Lin Haoyang had a contract with Cannibal Ghost Tang, no one knew whether the Cannibal Ghost Vine would attack everyone once it escaped from Moon Lake. After all, how much binding the soul oath has on creatures like spirits, no one knows, because species within spirits are extremely rare. Creatures such as ogre vines have appeared several times in the history of human development in the wild, but every time it was a river of blood, let alone restrain him with soul oaths. The situation of this Cannibal Ghost Vine is currently unknown. We have to prepare for battle. Before that, we should discuss how to divide the Hongjing in the Moon Lake. Zhang Jicheng said. Hearing this, Lin Haoyang narrowed his eyes slightly, and finally reached the most critical moment. In Zhang Jicheng's mind, the news of Hongjing was discovered by Lin Haoyang and other 4 companies, but this accounted for at most 10%. Qing Yunzong told Zhang Jicheng about the Hongjing incident. In addition to Zuo Qianji's extraordinary strength, he could account for 40% of the total. The Chongshan Tower not only has the largest number of nascent soul cultivators, but also is responsible for selling the Hongjing to the Sword League. This requires a higher level cultivator to be dispatched, so it will account for 50%. Lin Family 1, Qing Yunzong 4th, Zhongshan Tower 5th. What do you think? Zhang Jicheng said. When Zhang Jicheng said this, Zhou Zunyuan and Hu Weiwei instantly turned black, but Zuo Qianji did not speak, and they were not easy to talk. At this moment, Lin Haoyang quit, saying, I don't agree with this division. 42%. Chapter 253 Blood Soul Dao Oath. As soon as Lin Haoyang said this, everyone's eyes focused on Lin Haoyang, especially Zhang Jicheng, looking at Lin Haoyang with a curious expression. In Zhang Jicheng's eyes, although Lin Haoyang is not bad, he is only a golden core cultivator after all. Even if the two have some friendship, they can't just look at friendship in the face of huge interests. Although Zuo Qianji hadn't spoken, he was still curious about what method Lin Haoyang had to increase the value of own. In front of nascent soul, the role of the golden core cultivator is really limited. In addition to providing the news of Hongjing, the 4 coalition forces actually have little effect. Since Cannibal Vine can sign a contract with Lin Haoyang, it is nothing more than to value Lin Haoyang's potential to become a nascent soul cultivator in the future. This is why Cannibal Vine and Lin Haoyang have made a 100-year agreement. But now that Qingyun Sect and Zhongshan Tower are intervening, they are naturally capable of fulfilling Lin Haoyang's agreement with Cannibal Ghost. If the ogre and ghost abide by the agreement, everyone will naturally be happy and avoid a big battle. If the ogre Gatang didn't abide by the agreement, everyone wouldn't mind directly beheading the ogre Gatang. Even if the ogre vine is good, but under the 5 nascent soul cultivator and golden core cultivator, the ogre can't make any waves. At this moment, Lin Haoyang said, I have the most personal experience of the combat power of the ogre. Even if head teacher is in the peak state, I am afraid it is not the opponent of the ogre. Because the ogre is too big, the small island with a radius of 10 miles is completely covered by his root system and vines. On that small island, it is impossible to kill it. Moreover, once he angers him, if he destroys Hongjing, all our plans will be ruined. Therefore, if you want to obtain the red crystal safely, you can only rescue it from the island. Quote. Speaking of this, Lin Haoyang deliberately paused, seeing that everyone had no objection, and then continued. Once the ogre is on the land, I am afraid its strength will skyrocket, just like a person who has been suppressed by external force on the bottleneck for thousands of years. Once this external force disappears, I am afraid that the strength of the ogre will be on the verge of God Cultivator. Speaking of this, Lin Haoyang stopped. Once the cultivator was involved, whether it was the golden core or the nascent soul cultivator, it would last longer in front of the cultivator. Hearing this, Zuo Qianji had a smile on his face. After listening to Lin Haoyang's description of the cannibal ghost, he wanted to understand this. The red crystals on the lake are not so easy to pick up this month. If the cannibal vines really only have the power of the 9th layer of nascent soul, why did he call Zhang Jicheng? Since the ogre ghost can't leave the island, as long as it is 10 miles away from the island of Moon Lake, it can live and die. But in this way, if you want to obtain the red crystal, there is no hope. Zhang Jicheng showed embarrassment on his face when he heard it. When he heard Hongjing, he was indeed a little dizzy. Now that he thinks about it, he is a little scared. Do you really want to return to sect? Please come to the cultivator. Zhang Jicheng shook his head. If the cultivator arrives, then their value will only be worth reporting. Zhang Jicheng reacted at this moment. Since Lin Haoyang dared to raise an objection, then Lin Haoyang must have a way. Zhang Jicheng smiled bitterly on his face and said, Xiao Yulin, forgive me for your ignorance just now. If Xiao Yulin has any way to deal with the ogre, please don't hesitate to say it. As for the split, whoever contributes more will get the more. When Lin Haoyang heard this, he nodded, then looked at Zuo Qianji, and when he saw him nodded in agreement, Lin Haoyang said, The senior who took me out of the island left me with a contract called the Blood Soul Dao Oath. This type of oath has a very strong binding force on the cultivator of the He Dao stage. Because of his signing, Heavenly Dao needs to be used as an oath keeper. Once the Blood Soul Oath is signed, if someone breaks the oath, he will be backlashed by Heavenly Dao. Even if that ogre ghost vine is weird, I don't think it can hold Heavenly Dao's backlash. Quote. When everyone heard this, their eyes lit up. Although everyone had never heard of the Blood Soul Oath, the Heavenly Dao involved, even the gods, were nothing more than ants. Lin, fellow Taoist, can you only perform your Blood Soul Taoist? Hu Weiwei asked. Although everyone did not ask this question in their hearts, Zuo Qianji and others were very interested in the Blood Soul Oath that Lin Haoyang said. If they can also control this vow, then its value, I am afraid it will be invaluable. However, Lin Haoyang nodded and said, That vow is also engraved in my mind by the senior. To sign this vow, there will be a price to pay, so I can only use the vow in my mind 3 times at most. After 3 times, even if I will the rune of the Blood Soul vows has been written down, I am afraid it will not have the slightest effect. When everyone heard this, disappointment flashed in their eyes, although everyone expected it. If this Blood Soul Oath is well signed and taught, I am afraid that everyone will doubt the authenticity of the senior, Lin Haoyang said. Moreover, such a practical vow, I am afraid that it has been circulated in the cultivating world for a long time, so that they have not even heard of them, nascent soul cultivator. The Blood Soul Oath was passed on to Lin Haoyang by the little golden dragon. The effect of the Blood Soul Oath is not exaggerated by Lin Haoyang, but it is not so troublesome to sign the Blood Soul Oath. As long as you portray a special formation and use a drop of blood essence, you can complete the signing of the Blood Soul Oath. Since I am sure that the ogre vine will sign the Blood Soul Oath, how should this share be calculated? Lin Haoyang asked again. At this moment, Zuo Qianji, who hadn't spoken for a long time, finally spoke. Xiao Yulin provided us with the news of Hongjing, and used the Blood Soul swear to restrict the cannibal vines. I think you accounted for 30%. And I, Qingyunzong and Zhongshan Tower, are responsible for getting the cannibal vines out of Moon Lake. During this period, you don't have to work hard. However, the Chongshan Tower is also responsible for selling these red crystals to the Zhanmeng, and in exchange for resources, the Azure Cloud sect also accounts for 30%, and the Chongshan Tower accounts for 40%. What do you think of the two? Quote. Lin Haoyang was very satisfied with Zuo Qianji's proposal, and 30% was originally in his plan. Zhang Jicheng smiled bitterly. Although the Great Mountain Tower suffered a bit, he still didn't want to let the cultivator intervene easily, and then he agreed. Seeing that both of them had agreed, Zuo Qianji said, Give me 1 year to recover from my injury, and I will let fellow Taoist who pass first, and after 1 year, we will do something to Moon Lake. Lin Haoyang and Zhang Jicheng had no objection, and it happened that both parties had to prepare. Afterwards, Lin Haoyang left Immortal Cave, while Zhang Jicheng was left behind by Hu Weiwei to discuss the sale of some Tier 5 demonic beasts materials to Chongshan Tower. In this regard, Zhang Jicheng is still very welcome. Although Zhongshan Tower also occupied 2 Tier 5 spirit veins, there were not many materials for Tier 5 demonic beasts seized. Chongshan Tower is far away from the wild, and there is a great demand for this kind of Tier 5 demonic beasts materials. Lin Haoyang returned to Zufeng Mountain, and after bidding farewell to Bai Qingyan and Lin Xuanlin, he hurried back to Chenzhongya. To develop Yuehu Lake, we still have to discuss with the other 3 companies. 42%. Chapter 254. After Lin Haoyang returned to Chenzhongya, He immediately summoned the 4 patriarchs together, and even Lin Qianlong was called back by him. The posture of Moon Lake is large, and it is not for Lin Haoyang alone and the Lin family to decide, because in addition to mining the red crystal of the small island in the center of Moon Lake, the development of the entire Moon Lake will be the top priority. As long as the cannibal vines no longer occupy the Moon Lake Island, the 4 coalition forces can open up the spiritual field of Moon Lake. For example, the spiritual field of the lake today has been opened up to more than 400 acres, plus the more than 100 acres of spiritual field opened up on Chenjiangya. The total number of spiritual fields has exceeded 500 acres. A spirit field of this size can basically meet the consumption of the 4 coalition forces. The 500 acres of spiritual rice produced in the sacred land were not many after each of the 4 coalition forces had allocated some. Coupled with the needs of Saihashanfang City, every year, the 4 companies still need to transport Lingmi from their home. However, as long as the Raihu-Lingtian continues to develop in the future, one day the thousands of kilometers away from the Lingmi can be self-sufficient. If Moon Lake can be developed, the number of spiritual fields that can be opened up will also be doubled. As a result, the spirit rice produced by the 4 coalition forces not only meets their own needs, but can also be sold. In addition to the development of Moon Lake, there is also the distribution of Hongjing. It stands to reason that the 4 coalition forces can occupy 30% of the benefits, all due to Lin Haoyang, and he is willing to tell the matter, and he must be willing to give up some benefits. In the end, after discussion, Lin Haoyang got 10% of the benefits, and the remaining 20% was divided among the 4. Because of the Hongjing matter, there is no difference in the strength of each family. In the end, 20% of the benefits are equally divided among the 4, which is 0.5% for each family. Of course, this part of the benefits must first be used to purchase the teleportation array, and then the rest can be used by each family. The condition that Lin Haoyang is willing to discuss this matter is to build the teleportation array on the White Elephant Mountain. In this way, the benefits that the Lin family can obtain will be maximized. Although the other 3 also wanted to place the teleportation array in their own homes, but they were not strong enough, they could only do what Lin Haoyang said. Half a year later, the first wave of people from the 2 parties arrived. Because of the dealing with the ogre vines, there were no more people. Therefore, the 2 sides sent cultivators above Golden Core this time. Qingyan sect sent Hu Weiwei and 5 Golden Core cultivators, and Zhongshan Tower sent Su Qin, Xian, and 10 Golden Core cultivators. Zuo Qianji is because he needs to heal his injuries, and it will take another half a year, while Zheng Jicheng is dredging the relationship and looking for a way to exchange the red crystal. Few people are willing to exchange such precious resources as red crystal for spirit stones, which are most useful to exchange for genius treasures, teleportation discs, and cultivation technique. After the 2 men and horses came to Chenjiangya, they temporarily lived in Chenjiangya, but Chenjiangya was only a 4th-order spiritual vein, and could not afford to supply so many high-ranked cultivators. Although Hu Weiwei, Su Qin and others live in Chenjiangya, they all rely on spirit stones for their cultivation. So many people rely on spirit stones cultivation, and their daily consumption is extremely high. Especially for the 3 nascent soul cultivators, Hu Weiwei is not so wealthy and can only use spirit stones to maintain the cultivation base in the past few months. But Su Qin and Ziyan are indeed rich in wealth, and their cultivation has not fallen. After another half a year, Zuo Qianji and Zheng Jicheng also arrived one after another. In this way, the 2 parties finally arrived. After a month of recuperation, the wound on Zuo Qianji's abdomen has disappeared. It seems that for this Moon Lake Hongjing, Zuo Qianji also spent his blood and used some kind of precious healing spirit. Otherwise, it is impossible to recover so quickly just by recuperating by oneself. Compared with Zuo Qianji, Zheng Jicheng's arrival made everyone more excited. Because Zheng Jicheng brought a list this time, this list was drawn up inside the Zhanmang, and it was a list of special red crystals for spiritual things. In the Sword League, some precious spiritual things are difficult to measure with spirit stones, so the Sword League made this trading list. If you want to exchange the spirit items on the list with the Sword Alliance, you must take out the red crystal to exchange it. This list is divided into upper and lower volumes. The upper volume is written with the amount of red crystal exchange for the 5th order spiritual objects, and the lower volume is the exchange amount for the 3rd order and 4th order spiritual objects. This exchange principle is the same as spirit stones. 103rd order red crystal is equivalent to a 4th order red crystal, and 104th order red crystal is equivalent to a 4th order red crystal. After Lin Haoyang and others got the exchange list, they were taken aback when they looked at the exchange rules above. The number of spiritual things on this list, the complete range of categories, and the good quality are absolutely beyond everyone's expectations. What surprised everyone was that the price of this red crystal far exceeded everyone's expectations. One foundation building dan can be exchanged for only 15 red crystals. This is equivalent to that the price of a tier 3 red crystal is around 670 spirit stones. This made everyone look forward to it, and Moon Lake Hongjing was definitely their biggest chance since the wasteland reclamation season. Lin Haoyang looked at the dazzling array of spiritual objects on the list, and was also very excited. Since he has cultivated into the second level of the Buddha's profound reality technique, he has begun physical cultivation, but because of the lack of resources in his hands, he has not made much progress. This time he was on the list and saw several spiritual things that could be used for physical training. As long as the harvest was good this time, then he could also start the cultivation of the second level of the Buddha's profound reality art. At the same time, Lin Haoyang also saw a tier 4 spiritual creature called meteorite iron, which was very suitable for him to refine the ape. This kind of spiritual thing has only one characteristic, that is, heavy, fist-sized meteorite iron, which is about 10,000 catties. When he saw this kind of spiritual object, Lin Haoyang knew that he was waiting for this object. But the price of this kind of spiritual thing is also very expensive. The meteorite iron of the size of a fist costs 50 red crystals. In terms of conversion, just such a piece requires more than 30,000 spirit stones. Most importantly, there is the price of the 4th order teleportation formation on the 4th order list. A set of the 4th order teleportation formation requires 200 red crystals, which is equivalent to more than 130,000 spirit stones. This price really shocked everyone, and it was still purchased directly from Zhanmang, if it was placed on the wild market. The price of a 4th order teleportation array is probably higher by 30 to 40%, and there is still no market. This is also the reason why it has been difficult for the Azure Cloud sect to have a teleportation formation for many years. This thing is too scarce and cannot be bought by spirit stones alone. But what made Lin Haoyang strange was that a treasure like the teleportation array was not ranked in the top 5 on the list of the 4th order spiritual things. Lin Haoyang had never heard of the first 5 kinds of spiritual creatures. What surprised Lin Haoyang most was that the first spiritual creature, the 5 elements chaos bead, was worth 400 hongjing. In the list, the description of 5 elements chaos bead is also very simple. Recreate spiritual roots. With these few words alone, Lin Haoyang felt that even if they were placed in the 5th order spiritual creature, there would be no problem. 400 hongjing. When converted, it is equivalent to the price of 270,000 spirit stones. And a tier 5 demonic beast's inner alchemy only needs 200,000 spirit stones up and down. Recreating spiritual roots, even more valuable than a nascent soul cultivator, Lin Haoyang smiled bitterly. He is only 3 spiritual roots cultivator. If he can get a 5 elements chaos orb, how far will his spiritual roots be rebuilt? 43%. Chapter 255. Returning to Moon Lake. For this list, every force has been extremely careful to cherish it. It can be said that this opportunity can definitely change the fate of a case. After the people from all sides arrived, everyone stopped talking and hurried directly to Moon Lake. All cultivators above Golden Core were dispatched this time. After only half a day, everyone had arrived in Moon Lake. Because the 4 cultivators are prohibited from entering Moon Lake, after a few years, there are some low-level demonic beasts gathering in Moon Lake. However, the one with the highest cultivation base is only a 3rd-tier mid-range product. Now this type of demonic beasts is no longer in the eyes of everyone. The demonic beasts felt the breath of the crowd, and was shocked, and hurriedly hid under the water. Lin Haoyang and the others did not take action, lest there be branches outside the festival. Everyone crossed the Moon Lake and came to the central island 10 miles away. When they came to the island, the faces of the 5 nascent soul cultivators suddenly changed. The ogre vine may be able to hide from the golden core cultivator, but under the investigation of the divine sense of the nascent soul cultivator, there is no possibility of hiding. In the perception of Zuo Qianji and others, the entire island is like a huge monster, and they are like a group of ants in front of the cannibal vine. Just as Lin Haoyang said, the strength of this cannibal ghost vine, I am afraid that the 3 Zuo Qianji added together, is not its opponent. Zheng Jicheng's face was even more pale. He even wanted to use their power to kill the cannibal ghost vines. At this moment, it seemed really idiotic. Suddenly, the ogre vines on the island felt the arrival of everyone, and the vines on the island began to squirm. A small island with a radius of 10 miles, on which the vines wriggled together, this scene was really spectacular. After that, 10 huge vines rose into the sky, and finally rose to the height of the sky where Lin Haoyang and the others were. These 10 huge vines were exactly the main vine that was struck by the cannibal vines on the surface of the water when Lin Haoyang and the others left Moon Lake. Each main vine has a thickness of 2 or 3 meters, and the top of the main vine also has a large mouth of blood, which is extremely terrifying. Lin Haoyang guessed that the power of each of these main vines is no less than nascent soul cultivator. They had never seen the golden core cultivator of the ogre vines, and their feet were constantly shaking at this moment. Even in the Chongshan Tower, they had never seen such a terrifying monster. Only Lin Haoyang was calm, and he knew that these 10 main vines were not the strongest combat power of the cannibal vines, and his main roots were the most terrifying. Gatang, fellow Taoist, don't get me wrong, we are Lin Xiaoyu invited to help you out. Zheng Jichang shouted. At this time, the 10 main vines were entangled together, and a huge grimace appeared on the main vine. This grimace, like the grimace on the main root of the ogre vine that Lin Haoyang saw in the underground, should be the subjective consciousness of the ogre vine. Humph, just because the 5 of you are adding these miscellaneous fish, you want to help me. The ogre ghost said with disdain. Finally, the ghost vine and the main vine turned to Lin Haoyang and said, "Little devil, I know you want the red stones on this island. As long as you can get me out, those stones will naturally belong to you. But, don't just ask for some people, just think you can get me out. The people you are looking for are not as good as I am, so why did they get me out? Have to wait for someone to recover before coming back." Quote. When Zuo Qianji and the others heard this, their expressions changed instantly. From what the cannibal ghost Tang said just now, everyone confirmed that there was indeed a senior who helped Lin Haoyang, which allowed him to survive. But after what the ogre vine had just said, they were a little surprised. 5 nascent soul cultivators, plus nearly 30 golden core cultivators, could not get the ogre vine from this island. Go out. Zuo Qianji didn't believe it, saying, "Ghost vine fellow Taoist, I haven't tried it, how do you know? I heard that ghost vine fellow Taoist is afraid of water, so why don't I wait until this lake is drained, fellow Taoist can get out of trouble." Ha ha ha, drain this lake. Is it too easy for you to wait? If it is so easy, I still need you to save it, said the ogre vine. When everyone heard this, their brows suddenly frowned. Could it be that there is nothing secretive about this moon lake? Immediately, Lin Haoyang plunged divine sense into the water and was shocked. With the strength of his divine sense, he could not detect how deep the lake was. You know, Lin Haoyang divine sense is extremely mixed. Even if it is exploring the bottom of the water, within 3 miles, there will be no problem. However, Lin Haoyang's divine sense penetrated, but it was like a cow into the mud sea. There was no news at all. This showed that the water depth of the moon lake was more than 3 miles. Lin Haoyang was not the only one who was shocked in his heart. When the others heard the words of the cannibal ghost vine, they also probed into divine sense. But the answers they got were the same as those of Lin Haoyang, and they couldn't find out how deep the lake was. You know, among this group of golden cores, there are masters of golden core late stage, and they have not been able to detect how deep the water is. Later, this shocked expression also appeared on Su Qin and other nascent soul early stage. Seeing the expressions of the 3 nascent soul cultivators, Lin Haoyang knew that they had no results. With the divine sense of nascent soul cultivator, even if 3 people have just entered nascent soul, it should be no problem to penetrate 10 miles underwater. But the expressions of the 3 told everyone that the water at the bottom of the lake exceeded 10 miles, and the divine sense of the 3 nascent soul cultivators could not find it to the end. The shock in everyone's hearts turned into horror. There is no bottom in a lake. Immediately, everyone's eyes fell on Zheng Jichang and Zuo Qianji. If the divine sense of these 2 could not detect the situation at the bottom of the water, I am afraid that this small moon lake would cause an unbelievable event. Afterwards, Zheng Jichang showed a solemn expression on his face, and then said, "This moon lake is 17 miles deep." At this moment, Zuo Qianji said, "Not only that, there is also an underground river at the bottom of the lake. The water in the river flows extremely fast. I am afraid that the water in this lake comes from that underground river." When everyone heard this, their faces suddenly became sad. Just as the cannibal vine said, the water of this moon lake is not something they can pump if they want. At this time, the purple flew. Can you find a way to fill in the entire lake? Although the water of the moon lake is extremely deep, as long as a few large mountains are moved, there is no problem to fill the entire lake. No, the underground undercurrent is extremely fast and the current is huge. Even if we move to the mountain, we will probably be washed away by the current. And when the mountains fill up, the water level will surely skyrocket. At that time, I'm afraid the island will no longer exist. Zuo Qianji said. Hearing Zuo Qianji's words like this, everyone felt desperate. Is there really no way to do it? The meat to the mouth can really fly. I said, if I could get out so easily, I would have gone out long ago. The ogre ghost vine said. Lin Haoyang showed helplessness on his face. If even Zuo Qianji and the others couldn't get the cannibal vines out, I'm afraid the cultivator from Chongshan Tower would have to come. Looking at the small island where the ogre vine is located, Lin Haoyang suddenly brightened his eyes and asked. Several seniors, this lake is so deep, where does this small island depend? When Zuo Qianji heard Lin Haoyang's question, his eyes lit up and he randomly checked. But at this time, the ogre vine said it himself. This small island already existed before I had my spiritual wisdom, but it doesn't seem to have existed before. It should have been uprooted from elsewhere by a mighty power and then thrown here. When everyone heard this, they felt a little bit magical. It would be so boring to do such a thing. 43%. Chapter 256. Island Drifting. But the explanation of the origin of this island can only be this way, otherwise, how could this island, which is 10 miles in radius, appear here inexplicably? It is also very possible that the entire moon lake also came because of the island. This also explains why such precious red crystals appear on this small island. You must know that the Sword League has searched the human race area and found only a handful of red crystals. Standing in the air at the moment, from Lin Haoyang's line of sight, Moon Lake looked like a vast ocean, and this small island in the middle of the lake was quite a big ship with a radius of 10 miles. Suddenly thinking of the ship, Lin Haoyang flashed a flash of light in his mind, then said. Everyone, since you can't fill up this lake, then use this small island as a big boat and push it to the shore. Wouldn't this problem be solved naturally? Everyone's eyes brightened when they heard this. Lin Haoyang's method may be very difficult, but from the current situation, it is very likely that this is the only way to save the cannibal ghost vine. The size of the ogre vine is too large to fly in the air. And its root system is inherently afraid of water, and the weakness that it will rot when it meets water, so that he has been trapped on this small island for thousands of years. But it was also because of this small island that the ogre vine could survive to this day, but it also made him very familiar with the small island. I'm afraid not. This small island is too heavy, plus my body, the weight is more than tens of thousands of catties, just a few of you, it is impossible to pull the small island. Said the ogre vine. At this time, Lin Haoyang continued. Ghost Vine Senior, your roots can't touch water, but your vines should be okay. The cannibal ghost Tang's face was taken aback, and said. Can. Immediately, Lin Haoyang continued. As long as you use your countless vines to insert into the water and wrap the entire island to borrow the power of the vines, you will have tremendous buoyancy. Then I invite you Nascent Soul Senior to dive to the bottom of the water and break the bottom of the entire island, so that the island is disconnected from the underground. In this way, with the help of the buoyancy of Gateng Senior and the strength of fellow Taoist, I think it should be possible to drag the island to the shore. Quote. Lin Haoyang's method can be said to be extremely risky. In case the ghost vine's own buoyancy cannot lift the island, and then breaks the foundation of the island, I am afraid that the entire island will sink in the water by then. The ogre vine is about to die, and it will surely pull them back. But everyone thought about it, but couldn't think of a better method than Lin Haoyang's method. The cannibal ghost vine didn't speak, obviously he still had concerns about Lin Haoyang's method. After all, if the island could not be floated, it would be his death date. At this time, Zuo Qianji said, if you want to float the entire island, you can't rely on the power of the cannibal ghost vine, but Lin Haoyang's method has given us an idea. First, we cut a large amount of wood and send it to the bottom of the island to increase the buoyancy of the island. At the same time, we build some big ships, and then hang the chains to give the island buoyancy while pulling the island to the shore. Quote. After Zuo Qianji finished speaking, everyone finally felt that this method was finally feasible, so everyone turned their attention to the cannibal ghost vine. Whether this plan will work or not, in the end, the ogre vine will have to make a decision. If the ogre vine disagrees, everyone has no choice. Gateng fellow Taoist, if this method doesn't work, we can only ask the god of transformation Senior to help. Zheng Jicheng. No, you can't ask the cultivator to come. The ogre Tang Li immediately refused. Obviously, the cannibal ghost vine is still very jealous of the cultivator. Zuo Qianji and the others are here, and he can handle it, but once a cultivator arrives, then his fate will not be something he can make. Then he looked at Lin Haoyang again, apparently asking about Xiao Jinlong's news. Then Lin Haoyang said, Gateng Senior, if you want any senior to help, I'm afraid I will have to wait another 100 years. Cannibal Ghost Tang's face darkened. He had been trapped for thousands of years, and he really didn't want to stay here for a moment. Everyone, just do it your way, but don't try to play any tricks. Even if the island is sinking, you won't be pleased. As soon as the ogre vine's voice fell, there was a breath of God in the center of the island. Feeling this breath, everyone's expressions changed. As the ogre vine said, they were really not sure to escape the palm of the ogre vine. Lin Haoyang's expression also changed. This breath was exactly the breath of the main root of the cannibal vine he encountered underground at that time. At this moment, Zheng Jicheng and Zuo Qianji looked at Lin Haoyang one after another. Lin Haoyang nodded and walked to the front of everyone. Gateng Senior, although the two of me signed the soul oath before, I don't know how binding you are. And this time there are many seniors here, and I want to sign another contract with the seniors. Lin Haoyang said. After listening to the ogre vine, his grimace was distorted, and finally he said happily. Can't believe me. Don't worry, what contract do you have? Just take it out. When Lin Haoyang heard this, a very complicated rune appeared in his mind, and this rune was exactly the blood soul oath taught to him by the little golden dragon. At this time, Lin Haoyang agitated the spirit power of his whole body and portrayed this piece of rune into the air. When everyone saw this rune, they were shocked. Even the 5 golden core cultivators couldn't imagine the mystery. Because of this oath, it was a legacy from the immortal realm, and today's immortal cultivation realm has long been lost, and it is normal for it to be invisible. Seeing the oath portrayed by Lin Haoyang, the cannibal ghost vine flashed a hint of surprise in his eyes. Although he hadn't signed it yet, he already felt the faint heavenly Tao breath in it. If he signs this blood soul oath with Lin Haoyang, he will probably be bound by heavenly Tao. If he doesn't comply, he will probably be punished by heavenly Tao, and sooner or later the soul will be destroyed. Lin Haoyang forced a drop of blood essence and said, Gateng Senior, as long as a drop of blood essence is dropped, the contract can be completed. Then, Lin Haoyang saw the content of the contract again, transformed it into words with spirit power, and fell into that piece of rune. The main content of the contract is that the ogre vine and Lin Haoyang can't do each other, and when the ogre vine escapes from the island, they can go to the depths of the wild. But at the same time, Lin Haoyang and others wanted to take away the Hongjing on the island. Immediately after the blood essence was dripped into the rune, Lin Haoyang's contract process was considered complete. The cannibal ghost vine hesitated, seeing that the content of the contract signed by Lin Haoyang was fine, and he wanted to go to the wild. Compared with the human cultivator, demonic beasts are more numerous and silly. As for those red crystals, they are of no use to the ogre vine, and you have to worry about it accidentally exploding. Afterwards, a main vine of the ogre vine stretched out, and a drop of dark green liquid condensed in front of the main vine, dripping into the rune of the blood soul oath. Presumably, the dark green liquid is the blood essence of the ogre vine. The dark green liquid dripped into the rune, and Lin Haoyang suddenly felt the spirit power all over his body trembled, and the random rune seemed to be needed. Then the rune turned into 2 rays of light, one injected into Lin Haoyang's eyebrows, and the other injected into the ghost face of the ogre vine. The integration of this spiritual light made Lin Haoyang feel that there was a tangled connection with the cannibal vine. Moreover, if Lin Haoyang breaks his oath, there will be an irresistible force to punish him. And that power is probably the so-called heavenly Tao. 43%. Chapter 257. Now that the blood soul Tao oath has been signed, the 2 parties are naturally bound, and this cooperation can continue. One is for freedom, the other is for money, mutual benefit and win-win. Soon, the 3 parties are ready to go. The Chongshan Tower is responsible for building the big ship, and the Qingyunzong and the 4 coalition forces are responsible for cutting the wood, and then stuffing it to the bottom of the island. In order to speed up the progress, both cases mobilized manpower from their respective sects, and the 4 cultivators also sent a large number of cultivators. Every day, a large number of cultivators can be seen shuttled around Moon Lake, and a large number of large ships have gradually appeared on Moon Lake. These large ships are more than 300 meters in length, and the draft of each ship exceeds hundreds of thousands of caddies. These big ships have no other purpose. The only feature is that they are huge and can withstand heavy loads. For such big ships, Zhongshan Tower has built 100 ships, stuffed on the surface of Moon Lake, all occupying a small half. After another half a year, the construction of 100 boats was completed. Although these boats have simple functions, the construction of these 100 boats still cost tens of thousands of spirit stones. On the other side, the 4 coalition forces and the Qingyunzong cultivator are also about to cut down the trees around Moon Lake. Today, the bottom of the entire island has been wrapped in wood, and the buoyancy generated by these woods has made the island shake a bit. With the completion of the preparations, the 100 large ships also used chains to tie the small island. At the same time, 5 nascent souls, 30 golden cores, and 100 foundation building cultivators have also taken off at this moment, and they are all pulling a vine of an ogre vine at this moment. When the time comes to cut off the foundation of the island, they need to drag the island to the shore. Ghost Vine fellow Taoist, please also wrap the entire island with vines. Zuo Qianji said. Good. At this time, the ogre vines did not delay anymore, and saw countless vines rising above the island, as if entering a snake's den. Then those vines hang down from the island, insert into the water of the island, and wrap up the entire island. From a distance, the entire island now looks like a huge purpose, which is to protect the roots of the cannibal vines from touching the water. When the cannibal ghost vine stopped moving, Zuo Qianji and Zheng Jicheng looked at each other and then dived underwater. The two have the highest cultivation base. To cut off the foundation of Kojima, 2 of them must do it. At the moment when the 2 dived into the water, the hundreds of giant ships and more than 100 cultivators on the water also used their full strength, because the next moment, the terrifying weight of the island would fall on them. Boom! With a loud noise coming from underwater, the entire island shivered terribly, and countless muddy mud water emerged. Immediately afterwards, the small island suddenly sank, and everyone was prepared. More than 100 cultivators worked together, and then borrowed the pull of 100 huge ships and the buoyancy of the island. When the island was submerged to the surface of the island, it unexpectedly floated above the water. At this moment, Lin Haoyang is urging spirit power with all his strength, and his great power has also been exerted to the limit. Because his power is too strong, at this moment he is holding 3 tier 4 vines to form a rope, pulling the island with all his strength. After seeing Lin Haoyang's terrifying power, he secretly retreated 2 steps, and moved a little away from Lin Haoyang. Lin Haoyang looks like a cultivator, it's a humanoid Tyrannosaurus. Afterwards, Zuo Qianji and Zheng Jicheng got out of the water. As soon as the 2 came out of the water, they immediately joined forces with the 3 nascent soul early-stage cultivators from Su and Qin to create a wave of spirit power. Spirit power turned into spirit power giants, lifting the entire island from below. Although the nascent soul cultivator may be the physical power of Bufan, their strongest is still the cultivation base. With the addition of these giant spirit power hands, the island rises 3 meters above the surface of the water. It is clear that this giant spirit power hand contains so much power. Go! With Zuo Qianji's burst of shouts, everyone worked together, and hundreds of huge ships also drove the island to the shore with full power. The island is about 50 miles away from the shore, and everyone has been dragging the island like this. In the end, it took 2 hours to finally take the island off to the 10-mile boundary on the shore. At this point, the bottom of the island has touched the bottom of Moon Lake, and everyone no longer has to worry about the island sinking. After 2 hours of full pulling, even Lin Haoyang was exhausted and could only rest on those giant ships. The first time I was so close to the shore, the ogre vine was a little excited, stretched out a main vine, spread 10 miles, came to the shore, and felt the breath of the earth. But at this moment, a flame fell, and a huge ship was suddenly blown to pieces. The terrifying power of the explosion caused even several nearby giant ships to suffer. After a fire, dozens of fires appeared, and they rushed to the people on the boat. Enemy attack! Enemy attack! Someone shouted. Everyone didn't dare to delay. The cultivators above the foundation building flew out of the giant ship with swords, while the pulse-condensing cultivator jumped into the lake, staying on the giant ship at this moment, and could only be slaughtered as a target. The 5 nascent soul cultivators reacted fastest and immediately offered their own magical item to intercept the red flames. This fire is powerful Bufan, but under the 5 nascent soul cultivators, it can't make a big storm. Only a few rays of fire passed through the 5-person blockade and landed on the giant ship. Fortunately, the island has been pulled to the shore by everyone. Otherwise, the island will sink into the water if it is unstable. Just after 5 nascent souls blocked the fire, a large figure suddenly appeared on the horizon. I saw the 7 leading people. A cultivation base has arrived at nascent soul realm. Behind them, there is a golden core cultivator of about 50. In addition, there is a foundation building cultivator with nearly 200 people. This battle is not uncommon. Everyone changed their expressions when they saw the visitor. The visitor was Chu Shulin, the pavilion owner of Qianwo Pavilion. Next to her is Wu Daochun, the newly promoted nascent soul cultivator in Qianwo Pavilion in recent years. The other 5 nascent soul cultivators are the nascent soul cultivator who helped the 6th rank force of the Dry Fire Pavilion, the Baixianmen, and the nascent soul late stage cultivator, named Luo Zihong. It seems that 2 cases came this time. Seeing this, the flying sword in Zuo Qianji's hand appeared silently. It was obvious that Qianwo Pavilion and Baixianmen were here to pick peaches. At this time, Zheng Jicheng was also angry, and walked to the navigator to say, Luo Zihong, do you want to stir up 2 wars? At this time, I am afraid that Baixianmen cannot bear such a guilt. On the opposite side, nascent soul late stage named Luo Zihong didn't care, and smiled. Why, you want to stir up the 2 battles? Hong Jing is found here. As long as we report it, it will be a marvelous achievement. Where else is the turn of the 2 battles? It's too late for the Sword League to reward us. Quote. HMPH. You don't have to be delusional. We have already reported the matter to sect. You have no chance. Zheng Jicheng said again. But at this time, Luo Zihong showed a strange smile on his face, saying, Then what if you all died in the hands of the ogre vine? Listening to this, Zheng Jicheng's face went dark. Obviously they were planning to kill people. You are sure. Kill us all. At this moment, Zuo Qianji said. Left fellow Taoist, we know you are great, so this time we got 5 and 4 nascent soul middle stage cultivators from sect. You spent a lot of energy and spirit power just now. With those 3 nascent soul early stage cultivators, what do you do with us? Moreover, the number of our golden core and foundation buildings far exceeds yours. Chu Shulin said with a vow. Zuo Qianji didn't even look at Chu Shulin. He just spoke faintly. Ghost Vine fellow Taoist, they said I would die in your hands, what do you think? At this time, a curse came from Kojima. She. Fart. 43%. Chapter 258 Yin and Amp, Yang Absolute Rune. Chu Shulin's face suddenly turned dark. She was also a sect master. Although she could not beat Zuo Qianji, she was so humiliated by the ogre vine, which made her very ugly. Lin Haoyang squinted at the people at Qianwo Pavilion and Baixianmen. The feast between him and Qianwo Pavilion had already ended. When he first opened the food road for the Lin family, Lin Haoyang killed countless camel beasts in the Dry Fire Pavilion. This account was not so easy to eliminate. Although the 2 cases later jointly opened a spirit stone's mine, they were also forced to do nothing. If there is a choice, I am afraid that there are 10,000 reasons in the Qingyunzong's heart that are unwilling to cooperate with Qianwo Pavilion. But now, Ganhaj and Baixianmen have joined forces to pick peaches, which also means that the cooperation between the 2 cases is completely over. I am afraid that a big battle is inevitable. Not long ago, Qianwo Pavilion noticed that the Azure Cloud sect cultivator had started a large-scale operation, but the Lihuo Brahma bull had been beheaded, and even the Fanyu mountain had been occupied by the Azure Cloud sect. At this moment, what is the plan of Qingyunzong sending out such a large-scale cultivator? Immediately attracted the attention of Qianwo Pavilion and Baixianmen. Baixianmen is the 6th rank force. After using some methods, he learned about Hongjing's news. The value of Hongjing, the nascent soul cultivator of Baixianmen also knows its value. Because Hongjing's interests were too great, enough to make Luo Zihong dare to take risks and launch a war at this time. Suddenly, Luo Zihong of Baixianmen and Chu Shulin of Baixianmen Dry Fire Pavilion reached an agreement to snatch Hongjing together. But the 2 of them were afraid of Zuo Qianji's strength, and only then did they invite 3 nascent soul cultivators from Baixianmen, and they led the crowd to come. It was only a delay for some time. When they arrived at Moon Lake, Lin Haoyang and others had already brought the cannibal vine to the shore. For the ogre vine, Qianwo Pavilion and Baixianmen don't know much, but guess that its strength is about the same as Zuo Qianji at best. Being trapped on the island and unable to move is nothing to worry about. Lin Haoyang looked at the people at Qianwo Pavilion and Baixianmen opposite, with a smirk at the corners of his mouth. I am afraid that together, these people are not the opponents of Ogre Vine. Do it. Chu Shulin was furious and suddenly shouted. Chu Shulin gave an order, and 2 cultivators rushed to Lin Haoyang and others immediately. Lin Haoyang and the others just moved to the island. At this moment of weakness, they are not their opponents at all. However, Chu Shulin and others rushed to kill them. Whether they were up to the nascent soul or down to the cultivator, they just watched quietly at this moment, turning a blind eye to the attacks of the Dry Fire Pavilion and Baixianmen cultivator. When Luo Zihong saw this scene, he felt something was wrong in his heart. Even if Lin Haoyang and others were in a weak moment, they would not be killed by them. Zuo Qianji and the others are confident, and there is only one possibility. Only if they rely on them, can they be confident. Luo Zihong suddenly had a bad feeling in his heart. Could it be that the cultivator of Chongshan Tower has arrived here? How can the cultivator be here? I'm afraid that people like them don't even have the qualifications to stuff people's teeth. But at this moment, everyone has rushed forward, and it is too late to withdraw. After waiting for a long time, but did not see the cultivator coming out, Luo Zihong suddenly felt that he was too worried if the Chongshan Tower really had a cultivator nearby. When they appeared at the time, they were probably suppressed. Thinking of this, Luo Zihong suddenly became bold again. But at this moment, suddenly from under the surface of the moon lake, a huge vine protruded, and the top of the vine had a big black mouth. A golden core early stage cultivator was caught off guard and was swallowed directly. From the beginning to the end, the golden core early stage cultivator failed to react, and neither magical item nor cultivation technique had time to perform. Ganha Pavilion and Baixianmen cultivator were frightened by this sudden scene, and they hovered in the air, all offering their own magical item to guard. The 7 leading nascent soul cultivators looked even more nervous. They all noticed something was wrong, because at this moment, Zuo Qianji and others on the opposite side were still motionless. Zuo Qianji, what the hell are you doing? Chu Shulin shouted. A sneer rose from the corner of Zuo Qianji's mouth, and said, "Didn't you say that we died in Gatang, fellow Taoist? Then if you die in the hands of Gatang, how would you say Baixianmen would react?" The people of Ganha Pavilion and Baixianmen looked cold when they heard it. Zuo Qianji's naked irony made them extremely uncomfortable. But the strength of this ogre vine seems a bit beyond their expectations. Isn't it that the intelligence said that this ogre vine is afraid of water? At most it is only the strength of nascent soul. Just when everyone hesitated, a strange laughter came. Ha 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 ha. The taste of human flesh is still better than demonic beasts. I was trapped on this small island and ate fish for thousands of years. Today, none of you can go. As soon as the ogre vine's voice fell, countless vines burst out of the water and attacked the cultivator at Ganha Pavilion and Baixianmen. This time, the 2 cultivators were prepared, but the ogre vine did not succeed at once. But under the huge number of ogre vines, they are just strong support. As they cut off more and more vines, there were bursts of piercing screams in the air, reaching the minds of the 2 cultivators. Suddenly, the 2 cultivators were upset, and the 5 hearts were against the enemy, but the golden core cultivator could barely resist. The foundation building cultivator is already in danger under this magical sound, and dozens of unsettled cultivators have been swallowed by the weird vines. Seeing this situation, finally some cultivator couldn't help but shouted, "Ancestor, help, help, Pavilion Master, I can't do it anymore." The cries of one after another echoed over Moon Lake, but the 7 nascent soul cultivators of the 2 cases did not respond. In front of them, there are 10 huge main vines, each exuding the breath of nascent soul cultivator. If only 10 main vines of nascent soul cultivation base, Chu Shulin and Luo Zihong would not be so scared. Just when I was irritated and wanted to do something, a faint aura of godlessness rose from the center of the island. It was this breath of transforming gods that made the 7 nascent soul cultivators of the 2 sects dare not move. Listening to the cry for help from Golden Core and Foundation Building Cultivator, the faces of the 7 nascent souls were as dark as water. Unexpectedly, they had counted a lot, but they had missed it. The strength of the cannibal vine is so terrifying. At this critical juncture, Chu Shulin glanced at Luo Zihong suddenly. A trace of heartache flashed across Luo Zihong's face, and then a trace of cruel color flashed across his face. I saw Luo Zihong slapped his storage bag, and a magic charm was taken out by him. The magic charm was black and white, and even the rune on it was black and white. After taking out the rune, Luo Zihong didn't hesitate to activate the magic talisman and threw it to the 10 main vines of the cannibal vine. When Luo Zihong took out this magic talisman, Zuo Qianji, Zheng Jicheng and others' complexions changed wildly and suddenly shouted, Withdraw. The cannibal ghost vine also felt the power in the Taoist talisman, but it had been locked by the magic talisman and trapped on the trail. There was no chance to escape, so he could only resist. I saw the 10 main vines suddenly twisted into one, and the grimace on them turned black to red, and a spirit of spirit circulated in it. Boom. There was a terrifying loud noise, and the ogre ghost vine was instantly overwhelmed by black and white. This magic talisman is a 5th order high-grade magic talisman specially asked by sect by Luo Zihong for this Hongjing, Yin and Yang absolute magic talisman. It is extremely powerful. Unexpectedly, it is now used on the ogre vine. The place where the magic talisman turned was already submerged in black and white. Everyone didn't know how much damage this magic talisman could cause to the ogre vine. 43%. Chapter 259. As for the nascent soul cultivator of Ganha Pavilion and Baixianmen, they have temporarily avoided the terrifying black and white area at this moment. This yin and yang supernatural rune, but Baixianmen's most top 5th rank high-grade amulet, is extremely powerful, and it can be said that there are not too many stocks in Baixianmen. If it hadn't been for the discovery of Hongjing in Luo Zihong's report, otherwise he might not have been able to use this magic talisman. At this moment, the cannibal vines are fighting the yin and yang absolute rune with all their strength, and the rest of the vines naturally retract into the water. Even the devilish sounds that disturbed the mind quietly faded away, and the 2 cultivators could breathe a sigh of relief. In a short moment, 2 cultivators lost 32 foundation building cultivators and 2 golden core cultivators. Such losses made Chu Shulin heartbroken. Because one of the golden core cultivator is the dry fire pavilion cultivator. The Chongshan Tower and Qingyunzong were also shocked. The strength of this cannibal ghost vine was too terrifying. Without the restraint of Lin Haoyang's blood soul oath, I am afraid that the 2 cultivators would not be able to contaminate the red crystal at all. And Zuo Qianji and other nascent soul cultivators stared at the black and white light group. The yin and yang absolute rune of Baixianmen had also been heard by them, and its power was terrifying. But how much damage it can cause to the ogre vines can only be known when the power of the magic talisman dissipates. Lin Haoyang looked at the black and white light group with a scornful smile on his face. No one knows the strength of the ogre vine better than him, although this yin and yang absolute rune is extremely powerful, but the ogre vine may lose a few main vines at most. When the time comes, it will anger the ogre vines, and Ganhaj and Baixianmen will inevitably suffer revenge from the ogre vines today. Lin Haoyang holds the spirit stones in his hand and is fully restoring spirit power. As for his strength, Lin Haoyang doesn't consume much. In the 9 Dragons formation, Lin Haoyang's stamina had already been practiced extraordinary. Even if he was shaking with others for a day, he could do well. What he has to wait for now is the counterattack of the ogre vine, and then take the opportunity to win a 2 golden core cultivator. The 2 cultivators came with such a big fanfare. There must be a lot of resources in the storage bag, which happened to be cheap for Lin Haoyang. The black and white light lasted for a stick of incense, before the power of the magic talisman began to fade. At this time, everyone from all sides looked into the black and white light group, all wanting to know the current state of the cannibal ghost vine. Evil. At this time, a strange cry came from within the black and white light group, and then the 6 huge main vines went straight to Luo Zihong, Chu Shulin and others. This time, the 6 vines were filled with boundless anger, especially towards Luo Zihong. The ogre vines just wanted to smash them into pieces. At the same time, at the place of the black and white light cluster, 4.5 vines fell into the water. Mr. Yuan's vigorous main vine. At this moment, the spirit power was lost and it became extremely dry. When the yin and yang absolute rune exploded, it was these 4 main vines that stood in the front, and it was these 4 main vines that had withstood all the power of the yin and yang absolute rune. When Zuo Qianji and others saw the 4 main vines that had been cut off, they all secretly swallowed their saliva. The power of this charm is beyond their imagination. Each main vine of this cannibal vine is equivalent to a golden core cultivator. In other words, 1 magic talisman is equivalent to killing 4 nascent soul cultivators, which is really terrifying. Zuo Qianji looked at the ogre ghost vine rushing away, and immediately sacrificed the flying sword in his hand, and shouted. The Ganha Pavilion and Baixianmen deliberately provoke a war, and even want to kill all of us here. Now there is a ghost vine fellow Taoist in the battle, and I will kill 2 cultivators with me. Afterwards, Zuo Qianji rushed towards Chu Shulin, and all the members of Qingyunzong followed closely behind. The 2 clan cultivators and Ganhaj cultivator have been guilty for many years, and there are also a lot of grievances. Now that they beat down the dog, they are naturally 100 willing. Seeing this, Zheng Jicheng also led the cultivator of Chongshanlu and rushed away. Lin Haoyang also rushed along with the two sects. He had chosen the target long ago, a golden core early-stage cultivator who was entangled with two ogre vines. Facing the two cannibal ghost vines, this person was already somewhat invincible, and now that Lin Haoyang once again killed him, he was immediately at a disadvantage. Lin Haoyang's Long Yuan sword was flying fast, and the 6 killing intense sword beams flew up and down, blocking all the retreats of the golden core cultivator. With the help of the two main vines, Lin Haoyang found an opportunity, and Long Yuan cut in from behind. Before this person came back to his senses, he had already died under Lin Haoyang's flying sword. Thousands of Lin Haoyang took away the man's magical items and storage bags, and when he was about to burn his body to ashes with pill fire, he swallowed the man-eating ghost vine in one bite. He directly swallowed the golden core cultivator's body into his mouth and disappeared instantly. Lin Haoyang's face suddenly turned black. Although he had an antagonism with the two cultivators, he was still not happy to see the cultivator of the same race being swallowed. But no way, Lin Haoyang turned around again and went to find the second golden core cultivator in his eyes. At the same time, the nascent soul cultivator of both parties has also been handed over. Zhuo Qianji approached her old opponent Chu Shulin. Although Chu Shulin was not Zhuo Qianji's opponent, Zhuo Qianji's desire to defeat her could not be solved in a moment. Hu Weiwei went to the newly promoted nascent soul of the Dry Fire Pavilion. Although both of them were desperate, it was difficult to tell the winner. Zheng Jicheng found a nascent soul 6-layer cultivator in Baixianmen, and the two struggled. The cultivation base of Su Qin and Ziyan is still weak, and they can only work together to deal with a nascent soul middle-stage cultivator of Baixianmen. The remaining 2 nascent soul middle-stage cultivators and Luo Zihong are dealt with by the 6 main vines of the cannibal vine. It can't be used counter-wise. The 2 nascent soul middle-stage cultivators and the 3 main vines of the cannibal vine will stabilize it. The other 3 main vines pressed Luo Zihong violently, and Luo Zihong had no room to fight back. Luo Zihong was extremely frustrated. Just now, he just wanted to save 2 low-level cultivators, and only then did he use Yin and Yang Absolute Talisman. Unexpectedly, the Yin and Yang Absolute rune not only didn't work, but instead angered the ogre vines, and now it's miserable to be beaten. The battlefield of the nascent soul cultivator is like a forbidden zone, and everyone is afraid to approach it. The aftermath of their fighting is likely to wipe the foundation building cultivator to death. Although with the help of the cannibal vine, the achievements of the foundation building and golden core cultivator of Qingyunzong and Zongshanlu are not great. In the 2 hours just now, they almost tried their best to pull the island, and spirit power was exhausted long ago. Before they could rest, Qianwo Pavilion and Baixianmen were killed again, and they were just holding on to the fight at this moment. However, Lin Haoyang is different. Even if it uses pure power, it is difficult for golden core early-stage cultivator to resist. He only hates that the épée in his hand is not refined, otherwise the épée is in his hand, and the 2 golden core cultivators are not his opponents at all. Nevertheless, in just a quarter of an hour, the number of golden core early-stage cultivators who died in the hands of Lin Haoyang reached 3. Even the foundation building cultivator, Lin Haoyang successfully killed 7 people. After each beheaded, Lin Haoyang would burn the enemy's corpse to ashes for the first time, so as not to be swallowed by the cannibal vine. Lin Haoyang's terrifying combat power has already scared the 2 cultivators, but wherever Lin Haoyang has passed, both cultivators will naturally avoid them. Because Lin Haoyang would burn the corpses of 2 cultivators, this also made the ogre vines very angry. As long as Lin Haoyang passed, the vines of the ogre vines would let go. Finally, after Lin Haoyang killed the 3rd golden core early-stage cultivator, a golden core middle-stage cultivator of Baixianmen finally couldn't stand it anymore. Killed with the sword, wanting to avenge the same family. 43%. Chapter 260. Seeing the golden core middle-stage cultivator came, Lin Haoyang also raised his vigilance. After all, there was a gap between the 2 sides. The golden core middle-stage cultivator is holding a red flying sword, and there is a long streamer around him. Baixianmen is most famous for its inheritance of Bai. This golden core middle-stage cultivator is a tier 4 middle-stage cultivator. He wears a magical item and is much better than others. Lin Haoyang didn't panic at all. Long Yuan led the 6 killing intense swordsmen and went straight to the golden core middle-stage cultivator. Lin Haoyang's cultivation of killing characters can condense up to 7 killing intense swordsmanships. It stands to reason that Lin Haoyang has accumulated killing intense. The seventh killing intent sword light can be condensed long ago, and it can condense the emptiness into the real, and turn it into the sword of the killing intent. But this seventh killing intent sword light, Lin Haoyang always felt obstructed, unable to condense it completely. The Golden Core Middle Stage Cultivator, seeing Long Yuan carrying 6 killing intent sword lights to kill, also frowned. In his perception, the Long Yuan sword is no worse than the flying sword in his hand, and the power of the 6 killing intent swordsmanship is actually inferior to Tier 4. More importantly, why is the flying sword controlled by Lin Haoyang so fast? Almost only a breath of time, Long Yuan had already wrapped 6 killing intent swordsmanship to kill in front of the Golden Core Middle Stage Cultivator. But he didn't panic. First, he pinched a magic trick, and then the long banner surrounding him rose up and turned into a black dragon, surrounding the 6 killing intent sword lights. After trapping the killing intent sword light, he even turned the dragon's head and bit at Long Yuan in one bite. Lin Haoyang's eyes condensed, and he knew that he had encountered hard stubble this time. With hurried hand seals in his hand, Long Yuan's speed was 3 points faster, and he got rid of the entanglement of the black dragon, turned the sword body, and attacked the Golden Core Middle Stage Cultivator. At this moment, the Golden Core Middle Stage Cultivator has identified Lin Haoyang as a fast sword cultivator. As a disciple of the 6th rank force, of course know that Kuaijian can only break it with strength. Later, he recalled the red flying sword that was fighting with Long Yuan and held it in his hand. I saw the spirit power on the right arm of the Golden Core Middle Stage Cultivator boiled, clothes bulging, and the red flying sword seemed to be activated. It turned out that the sword was full of flames, like a piece of magma. Aren't you fast? This strike depends on how you pick it up. The Golden Core Middle Stage Cultivator yelled, and then a 20-meter-long flame sword ray soared into the sky and headed straight for Lin Haoyang. Seeing this, Lin Haoyang frowned, and then smiled at the corner of his mouth. He wanted to compare strength with him and found the right person. Raising his hand and patted the storage bag, Lin Haoyang took out a 5-meter-long rib. This inner bone was the rib of the unfinished Tier 5 mammoth. Lin Haoyang grabbed his ribs with both hands, then hugged the ribs with a wave, directly red on the 20-meter-long sword ray. Boom! The ribs blasted on the sword ray, and a terrifying bang suddenly sounded. Lin Haoyang was blasted 3 steps back by this distance, and then saw the flame sword ray explode. When Lin Haoyang was on the 9th floor of the foundation building, his strength was as great as 30,000 jin. Now that he has breakthrough Golden Core, his strength has reached a higher level, and the limit weight has reached 40,000 jin. Lin Haoyang's this strike, although his strength did not use his full strength, it was no less than 35,000 catties. In addition, the ribs of the 5th order mammoth were abnormally hard, and it was directly crushed by the collision. Seeing this with the Golden Core Middle Stage Cultivator from afar, he swallowed his mouth secretly and cursed his mother in his heart. You are a body cultivator. Cultivation fast sword comes out to bluff and deceive, but also not wanting face. It is really for the body cultivator to lose face. If the Golden Core Middle Stage Cultivator had known that Lin Haoyang's power was so abnormal, he would not have come to provoke Lin Haoyang. As we all know, body cultivators are lunatics. At this moment, Long Yuan's sword slashed towards the Golden Core Middle Stage Cultivator from the back. However, the Golden Core Middle Stage Cultivator had been prepared for a long time, and Flying Sword picked up and dodged Long Yuan with a forced kill. At this moment, a blue ray came, making the Golden Core Middle Stage Cultivator a panic. He hurriedly wanted to withdraw the Black Dragon to defend, but after being picked up, Long Yuan came to the side of the Black Dragon and entangled the Black Dragon 4 times with 6 killing intent sword lights, and couldn't get out of it. Seeing this, the Golden Core Middle Stage Cultivator patted the storage bag between gritted teeth, and a stone Buddha appeared in his hand. The deep blue eye came, and the stone Buddha was just in front of the blue light, and the unfavorable blue light unexpectedly met his opponent. It only corroded the surface layer of the stone Buddha, and its power was exhausted and dissipated in the air. When the Golden Core Middle Stage Cultivator saw that the stone Buddha was damaged, he felt very distressed when he was shocked. This stone Buddha is his most valuable treasure. Inevitably, he was full of fear for the blue light emitted by Lin Haoyang, and he had a plan to never let it hit. Just when the Golden Core Cultivator wanted to fight back, only Luo Zihong shouted. Withdraw. The Golden Core Middle Stage Cultivator was full of unwillingness, but was full of fear of Lin Haoyang. Had it not been for the Ogre Vine to help Lin Haoyang, I am afraid he would not be Lin Haoyang's opponent. Immediately, he wanted to take the Black Dragon and retreat. Come as you want, leave as you want, how easy is it? Lin Haoyang shouted. I saw Lin Haoyang jump straight and head straight for the golden core middle stage cultivator, holding the ribs of the mammoth, carrying a terrifying gust of wind. In such a scene, the eyelids of the golden core middle stage cultivator are jumping wildly. The world is right, and the body cultivator is crazy. Didn't you see him going to evacuate? Anyway, he is also a golden core middle stage cultivator, a little higher than you, so let's give some face. Lin Haoyang chased him, but the golden core middle stage cultivator had no intention of fighting again, and nascent soul had withdrawn. If he stayed here to fight to the death, I am afraid there would be only 4 ways. The golden core middle stage cultivator urged the flying sword in his hand, and his momentum soared, and the flames shot towards Lin Haoyang like rain. Life ends on. This time, the golden core middle stage cultivator used the method of pressing the bottom of the box. Lin Haoyang also frowned, and the countless flames that struck him were extremely difficult. Just after the golden core cultivator cut a sword, 4 vines with the strength of golden core attacked all around, blocking its escape route. The golden core middle stage cultivator's complexion changed, and he immediately ignored Lin Haoyang and wanted to take the black dragon back, but was entangled by Long Yuan and Lu Dao sword chi, and he was not given a chance to escape. The golden core middle stage cultivator showed a ruthless color on his face, and once again sacrificed the stone Buddha. The stone Buddha suddenly turned into a stone man. The 2 of them worked together and blasted away from the encirclement of the ogre vines, and successfully escaped. On Lin Haoyang's side, borrowing the black tortoise shield, the mammoth ribs, and the deep blue eyes, this is what. Stop the fire and rain. Seeing the golden core middle stage cultivator left, Lin Haoyang spit out blood and fought one after another. Just now, he forcibly took the golden core middle stage cultivator with a fierce burn and was already injured. At this time, Long Yuan and 6 killing intent Jianmeng returned, and among them, a black dragon was besieged. The golden core cultivator left, and the black dragon lost control and was immediately taken by Long Yuan. Now that the black dragon fell into Lin Haoyang's hands, he saw Lin Haoyang hit the black dragon's body continuously, and the black dragon turned into a long banner again and fell into Lin Haoyang's hands. Looking at the long streamer in his hand, Long Hu couldn't help but admire the exquisiteness of the Baixianmen craftsman. At this moment, most of the cultivators of Qianwo Pavilion and Baixianmen were defeated and fled. The Chongshan Tower and Qingyunzong cultivator are also pursuing them. After all, they are doing their best to fight. Had it not been for the ogre vines, the 2 cases would have suffered heavy losses. In this battle, Qingyunzong lost a golden core cultivator, Li Muxian, Zongshanlu lost 3 golden cores and more than 20 foundation building cultivators. The Dry Fire Pavilion and Baixianmen suffered extremely heavy losses. Nascent Soul fell alone. 2 people were seriously injured. Golden Core lost 9 people and Foundation Building lost 52 people. And Foundation Building lost 52 people. And Foundation Building lost